Okay, guys. Hi, here we go. You guys, I'm trying to get my Streamlabs. I don't know why it's not kicking in right now. Trying to get my Streamlabs. So when you guys see me say hello, it's because I'm trying to kick in my Streamlabs at the same time. Shanann and Melissa from American Justice are here. If you guys haven't hit that share for Jack and Lily, please do. Nice to see you guys again. Of course, it's been a minute. I gifted about 10 memberships at the start of the live because I had 10 for this month, and today's the last month. So for those people that got one of those, well, happy membership. Okay, now I got to get my Streamlabs going here. So Melissa and Shanann, I'll start with Shanann. Shanann and Melissa, just say hey to everyone, and just give me a minute, and I'm just gonna check on my Streamlabs here. Okie dokie. One moment for me.
No worries.
Hey guys,
hey everyone. How's it going? It is Saturday night with Sunny and Shenanigans and Melissa from American Justice. Thank you all for coming in. It's been quite the week, I'm sure you know. There's been some updates with regards to Daniel Martell, and obviously we'll be discussing that today. And it's great to have a panel of three ladies up today to bounce some theories and discussion off of. And if you haven't hit the like button, please do. And if you haven't subscribed to all of our channels, please do that as well. So obviously today we're going to be talking about Jack and Lily. They've been missing since May the 2nd of 2025, and we are coming up to 9 months in a couple of days. So hopefully we're getting close, guys.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Melissa. Thanks, Shanann.
My dog is absolutely losing his ever-loving mind at this moment.
Okay. You can hear it when he barks, but nothing like that. It's piercing my ear or anything. Doggies. Do you need to go for a sec, or are you good?
I will be right back. I will see if I can't calm him down. I've got the people plowing the driveway, and he's losing his ever-loving mind. Little Black Bear, tell Miss Bell I said hello.
Okay, so again, thanks everyone for joining this live today. I know it's been like a couple of weeks since I did a live again. Don't worry, I'm always following Jack and Lily's case and stuff, but even this week coming up, I'm into my night shifts and stuff like that, and just trying to navigate everything, to be honest with you. But anyways, of course, as we know, so there's two things going on here that I want to start, because obviously we know that there was charges, hooray, pressed against Daniel Martell on the 26th. Okay, now so when it comes to the charges, the media, right, there's a public ban on the victim's name, so we can't, when we're talking about, say, the charges, even though I know you guys are 2 + 2, right? That, like I said, there is a ban by the courts, at least up until March 2nd, when it goes to court again. So on the victim's name. So by that same token, is that we talk about the case of Jack and Lily. We know about the open court documents. We know about the recent unredacted documents in regards to Daniel and Malehya and stuff like that. So it's going to be a little bit of an interesting weave. So when it comes to the charges part, thank you, Little Black Bear. And which reminds me, and Little Black Bear, and then Blue Hair on Digital Art there as well. Thank you for becoming members of that. Appreciate you guys. And again, whoops, once again, my comments off there. So you guys, as you know, first and foremost, it will always and always be about Jack and Lily, who are the truest victims of this case and what's going on here. Agree, Shanann? Jack and Lily are really again, where the focus lies in answers, in this case. Um,
Every day, that's what I think about, is what happened to them, where are they, and when are we going to get the answers and justice that's deserved for Jack and Lily, because it has been a very long 9 months, and I can only imagine how the family members of Jack and Lily feel. It's been a hard go, and I know that you feel that too. And you have to take everyone needs to take mental breaks every now and again, because it is just very overwhelming.
yeah, like I haven't been shy about saying that. I've had lots of stuff, on my platter with just like multiple different things. And when you kind of do something for, especially like work full time, do something, pretty much every day for 6-7 months, you're doing lives and stuff like that. At some point, it's just like you're just wore down, and it's not like you're not thinking about Jack and Lily. You very much are, but absolutely, I got exhausted,
Yeah.
because I have other stuff, right, as well. My work, right, paintings for people I was doing for work and stuff like that, and just trying to do, like, over my holidays, I was just trying to do what I wanted to do. I only can do lives when I feel like I want to do a live, never because I'm sitting up here trying to earn somebody's money or donation, or just doing a live, for the sake of doing a live. I can't do that. It's not who I am. I have to always do everything with what I feel like doing. And if I don't feel like doing a live and I feel like taking weeks off, I will do that, because I got other stuff to do as well, but never forgetting about Jack and Lily. Shannon, prayers to you. Thank you so much. Love you, Misty. Again, prayers for your health for you, Shannon. And, Shannon's, she talks to me in Messenger and stuff like that, like Rhonda, some very consistent ones and stuff. So bless you. Thank you for the $20 super sticker. I appreciate that. And again, biggest hugs to you. I love you. And I know that I love it when like you meet people, and it's almost like that bond, because you feel like your thoughts are the same, and your thinking is the same in so many ways and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some really bright, shining stars that I've met through working on this case as well. And I've created some really great camaraderie. And it is nice when you find people that are on the same page as you, that you can bounce different things off of, and you're not going to be shot down, or because we also have like different opinions on different things, and it's just nice to find. It's almost like it's a support system in a way, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. I'm the type of person that I don't need friends in my life to fulfill me. But throughout being in true crime, I have, either, I've met some great people along the way, and ones that you thought were great, but then they made it out of my life along the way as well. But, I'm very selective when it comes to a true friendship, with people and stuff like that. I met some, like I said, I didn't know about your channel up until in the last month and a half, something like that. I heard your name being mentioned on Daphne's, but I didn't know like who you were and stuff. And I know who Justin was because of Sebastian Rogers' case and stuff. But even Daphne, I knew little pieces, but it's really nice to come across just what I consider just genuine people that do it for authentic reasons, or doing stuff for authentic, and you just see the trueness of a heart, and so that's important to me. And I cannot be anything different than that, of just, like I said, appreciating, loving the people that have the best interests of, say, cases at their heart. And that it's not a money motivated thing. Obviously, there's perks that come with having a channel and YouTube ads and stuff like that. But it's always for the sincerity of you're following something because you care. And for Jack and Lily, again, I've never wavered off of that case yet since I've started. And it's, just heartbreaking. It's more than heartbreaking. On every level, it's disgusting, to be honest with you, to what we've witnessed. And it breaks your heart when you know that at the root of this case, it's about these two children, and the children are the victims, not the adults. There's victims, of course, to the families, but Jack and Lily are the victims. They're the ones that we don't have answers for, and they're the ones that matter the most out of all this. And then behind that, obviously, we care about the family members with that, that truly want answers, like Belynda, that's just been fighting just for answers, right? Just for answers to it all, and other family members. And and then for me personally, anything to do with, say, mental health and all that stuff, that plays in the background, because the forefront of this to me is what happened to Jack and Lily, and everyone wants answers, and it's that simple. Now, now, so I'm trying to figure out a little bit how to navigate this a little. So again, victim, there's a public ban on actually using the name of the victim, 2+2 though, right? But in saying that, so kind of have to navigate this, because we can talk about the open stuff and talk about our feelings and what we think and stuff like that. I know that the American laws, like Melissa, are different than the laws here in Canada when it comes to privacy, and they can talk about the different stuff and show it all day long. Now, so 3 charges were laid against Daniel. SA, forcible confinement, and of course, assault. Okay. Obviously on March 2nd. So we're just going to kind of talk about this generically. So on March 2nd is when, the prosecution, will hand over the evidence of, to the defense again about, well, obviously the evidence about these claims. Okay.
Like the disclosure.
Right. Exactly. And then, then I had pulled it up here because I was, using my AI. Now, for forcible confinement, there's obviously there's indictable offenses for these charges, and there's summary charges. Summary charges are, what is deemed as, say, less serious in a sense, charges, and then of course indictable are the more serious. So for these indictable ones, if like March 2nd, we should know if they're summary charges or indictable. So indictable, we're talking like 10 years for the SA and the confinement, a max of that, and then 5 years for assault, versus it's showing, I think it was 18 months and 18 months and 6 months for summary charges. Now, we all know that Daniel's going to plead not guilty, because Daniel, he's not accountable for anything in his world, right? So he's going to think that he's the victim here being charged. And well, you know what? Let me ask you something. Let me ask you guys something. And you guys in chat too. What do you think? You think Daniel shit his pants, when he was arrested for these charges?
I would love to see the body cam for his arrest, and whether or not he knew they were coming, or what he thought they might be, because it must have crossed his mind when they, put his hands behind his back saying, Daniel Martell, you are under arrest. He was probably going like this as to what the next words were going to be for, and I wonder if he even knew who they were for initially. There must have been some question and doubt in his mind as to who the victim was, because as we've heard and seen, there are a few women now that have come forward with accusations about Daniel's behavior and how he was forceful, and I also am curious as to whether or not he has a previous record for anything. And that'll really determine what his sentence will be, because if he's got previous offenses for any of those kind of charges, right, I think it'll be indictable. And the fact that there are multiple charges, like the confinement along with the SA, I feel that that's going to be indictable because there's more than one offense being taking place at the same time.
You know, Melissa, I'm not sure if you're back or not, by the way.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, sound low on there.
So, I don't know. For me, I definitely would have loved to have seen his face, whether that be he got a call from the RCMP that said, hey, we need you to come down here to the station, or whether they showed up in his driveway and, you know, you're under arrest. I would have liked to have seen his face. Just saying, for either one of those. But I kind of agree with Shan. You know, was it more of a he was leaning in and going, okay, I'm under arrest, but for what? Like, are you charging me with red rum? Are you charging me what are the charges? Because in my opinion, I think he definitely knows and or had part in what happened. So it's like, just how scared was he? And is this going to be a wake-up call for him? If he does, let's just say he gets, 1 year total. And chances are that's not going to be what it is. But let's just say he gets a year. That entire year, in my opinion, he would be sitting in there going, well, so this is what it's going to look like when they find Jack and Lily. Like, that has got to be mental hell for him.
I hope he's in mental hell.
Yeah, I agree. I hope he's going through mental hell right now.
You know, I mean, at the end of the day, and this, like I said, this is kind of a two-way conversation about this, because at the end of the day, we're talking about 2 missing children, and he's made a complete joke with his lies and inconsistency, his behavior to the world, to the public, as it's even gotten worse over the last 2 months. Actually, no, what it is that his true colors keep coming out in the latter interviews versus the BS. I'm just here, gonna go to the end of the earth for Jack and Lily and Malehya and, do all this stuff. And I'm just the, perfect stepfather here, while everybody else is not searching, me, type of thing. And now we're seeing his, like, that little bit of temperament more come out, the accusations towards Malehya, non-accusations, and it's honestly, it's like you don't even have to do anything, because he tells on himself for you, in a sense, with all his inconsistency, like, meaning he's the one that is absolutely, I cannot think of another case, and I can't always get through this, because I've never come across another case where a stepfather has implemented himself so much into the true crime community, and like the news, okay, right, they go on the news, they lie their faces off, we see it all the time in cases, but the way he's put himself out there in the true crime community is beyond absurd for any case that I've ever saw. The Dawn Wells and Candace Wells, another absurdity with, listening to those 2 living in that godforsaken piece of shit land and the disgusting insides of it. And that's where these children live and stuff like that. I mean, that was a hellhole. But taken to social media, doing their whole, nothing to do with it, whatever spiel, blah, 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 blah. But in all the cases that I've seen across the world so far, this has got to be the one that stands out for one of the most dumbest people in the world award for literally publicly, inconsistently talking about the himself and his mother, Janie, how they're so adamant about their own proclamations of innocence of stuff, and nobody's been charged, granted, of course, but I just mean the focus never really truly has been on Jack and Lily. It's always been, it's absurd. Like, it's absurd. You don't see, normally when there's family involvement, which in many cases, almost with the children, it is, okay? But you never see this type of ridiculous sort of exposure that a parent is truly putting in to, the crime, but even his interviews lately, but into going on and just constantly won't shut up, and to his own downfall, which is great. But don't, like,
it's a constant battle for him to get ahead of the narrative, to get ahead of what is going to come out next, to make sure that the seed is planted before the next bit of news comes out, because he knows what happened. He knows what the relationship was like. He knows what was going on in that trailer, and he knows what is going to come out in the future with more unredactions and more follow-up. It's like somebody pointed out, it's like the domino effect. So the first domino, well, I would say the first 3 dominoes have started to fall. Every time the new unredacted documents come out, one more domino falls. And it really has become clear to me, especially I've been watching different sort of behavioral patterns of fathers or stepfathers or father figures that have been responsible for infanticide, basically, and or men in general that have been responsible for that type of behavior. And it is shocking, the type of, it's like a type of person. There is a pattern of behavior. There is a delusion of grandeur among them. They are very confident that everyone believes what they are saying, to the point of, narcissism, obviously. Everyone has some narcissistic tendencies, but there is a scale. And if you were to rate him on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say that he's a higher number. And it's, like I said, it's been quite clear to me that he's always been trying to get ahead of the narrative. Even when he was messaging you saying, I was never abusive to Malehya. In fact, she was the one that was abusive to me. And before she left, she was, just so impatient and would attack me. And you can see the manipulation that takes place. And he is always the victim in everything. And it's always how he's portrayed, how he looks and how he feels. It is never about Jack and Lily. It's just about squashing, squashing the narrative that paints him in a bad light. That's all it's ever about. It's, the fact that he never even searched where the boot prints were found said everything I needed to know. When he said, I know I didn't have anything to do with it. I know Malehya didn't have anything to do with it. I know my mother didn't have anything to do with it on the news, but to everyone else, it was Malehya did it. Malehya knows who did it. Malehya is the one that put them in the car. Malehya. Maleya's incompetent. Malehya can't look after the kids. I was the only one that could, it was never ending. It was never ending.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that it's backed up, just like the one on the screen here. No violence ever. Malehya used to hit me, again.
But tells the police there was no violence.
Right. Again, I mean, the thing is that, like I said, even like the timeline, it's like, I think the timeline even speaks for itself. Like, just BS. Just BS, like, with everything. I had my phone. I didn't have my phone. I left my phone behind. Wait, I was looking in the culvert with my phone, just everything. Like, it's almost nauseating going over that whole thing, because it's just like repeating just BS. And, but the thing is that all of it still works out to be, to me, the demise what will be to me the inevitable, in my personal opinion. And in my personal opinion, 100,000%. Again, not guilty. He's going to see himself as the victim here. This is going to be, the whole Daniel victim mentality. Now, separately, I'll say this. In my personal opinion, I feel like there's a stalemate that's going on in Jack and Lily's case. I see this as a means to an end. I see this as one of those things where, well, you know what, we're kind of at a stalemate here because we don't have this evidence. But you know what, we're going to go in the back way. We're also going to put out to the media, of course, that, this is, nothing to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lily. And, because the RCMP have to do word salad, right? They have to, like, legally and all that stuff, they have to. But how I see it, in my personal opinion, is that, you know what, can't go this route right now. But you know what we can do is go this route right now. And so to me, I think everyone's pretty much in agreement. Most people, not everyone, but most, are that, again, the cracks are opening up. And I even said the other day too, the same phrase, because it's a common one, the domino effect I see happening here. And I feel like I think most of us can probably perhaps see why that this is all coming about. And like I said, unless we're like the stupidest people in the world, documents come out 11 days, right? 11 days later, there's an arrest for Daniel Martell. So the documents are fine to talk about because those are for the public. That stuff we know, right? Yeah. But we have to use the word victim when it comes regards to the charges. Again, but anyway, Melissa, go ahead. Thoughts?
So when we were I don't remember if it was you or Shan said, the story basically has changed as it's went on. And there's two reasons, in my opinion, that Daniel's stories and his contradictions have become so prevalent. One is because in the beginning, he was trying to convince everybody to believe his bullshit, right? Yeah. So as we've gone on, he's realized, well, shit, they ain't believing me. So now I need to change it. And when he was on the DT show, he would constantly refer, well, the document says this. The document says that. So he is trying to change his narrative and change what he's pushing based on what's in the document. Well, now we have more unredacted versions. So it's gone from, well, there was never any abuse to, well, Malehya was abusive. Well, Daniel, now we find out with these new unredactions that you're actually the one that was abusive. You're the one that held Malehya down and did all this stuff.
Well, allegedly
in, the court document, the new unredactions.
Yeah.
So, for me, like you said, it was 11 days from that unredaction to an arrest. So RCMP has known this for 9 months, because here in 2 days, we're going to be at the 9-month mark. I think it's kind of ironic that he has to go to court on that 9-month mark. Just saying.
May 9th was when Malehya's, I think it was in her 5th statement, is when she talked about the holding her down. I mean, she said it regardless. You guys all know that she had said it to me and talking in Messenger. So that wasn't breaking news to us at that point. But it was lifted from the documents. So, but May 9th, yeah.
So, I mean, his story is ever evolving. And like Shan said, if you look at his behavior based on other people who were later found guilty of familicide, right? If you look at that, his behaviors are right in line with Chris Watts, Scott Peterson. He's right in that sweet spot of knowing the general public not buying his BS and kind of having the assumption that he did something and it being later proven. So I'd like to see how this one turns out, because I think we're going to be, again, right, like with those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just want to say, for people that don't know, so for the confinement one, right? And I think people know what we're talking about there. But anyways, it says the person. So there's 5 things that they need to prove for confinement, which the person was actually restricted from moving or leaving. This doesn't require a locked door. It can be achieved through physical force, threats, or even psychological intimidation. And identity, the accused Martell is the one who performed the act. Intent, the confinement was not an accident. The accused intended to restrict the victim's movement. Lack of consent, the victim did not agree to be held. No lawful authority, the accused had no legal right to detain the victim, unlike a police officer making a lawful arrest. So those are the 5 things required. So when it comes to the charges, like I said, like they give the evidence, disclose the evidence on March 2nd. The next step, let's see here. So it says the path forward, understanding the trial process. So the first appearance, March 2nd, determining how the defendant pleads. Number 2, disclosure and preliminary hearing inquiry. The defense receives the evidence. 3rd, trial. If not guilty, plea is entered, which we know he'll be not guilty. A judge or jury will hear the evidence, then verdict and sentencing. So that's pretty much how it goes. Just to ask you, Shanann, well, in order to bring a case, you have to have pretty strong evidence. So let's just say victim has handed over and strong evidence, to support this, because that's what would be needed to make these type of, charges. You wouldn't want to go in there, with half-assed. You want the victim to have, like I said, the different, whether it's text, whether it's pictures, text to family members, different things,
Yeah.
just gut feeling. What are you feeling? Indictable or summary?
I'm thinking it's likely going to be indictable, and I think the RCMP likely have evidence, and it probably was found on one or both of their devices when they got a warrant for their devices. They would have been able to download every text and every phone call that those phones had made, including the Text Plus app. They did get that information. So if there was communication, say after the assault took place, something along the lines of, if you ever hold me down again and take my phone, I'm leaving you. If you ever SA me again like that against my will, I'm going to go to the police. Or if, you continue to treat me in this way or this, I believe there is compelling evidence and a history and a pattern of behavior that proved to the Crown that there was enough to prosecute for. The Crown will not allow charges to be laid if they don't feel that they can they can't prosecute or have a case to follow through on in the courts. They're not going to waste their time or the police time or the judge's time. The judge would just throw it out. And there's, we'll see on March the 2nd when there's full disclosure of what evidence there is. And it'll be at that time where the judge will say, all right, well,
yeah,
there's enough to go ahead here. And I would suggest that he should plead guilty, because if Taylor decides to come forward, or any other girlfriends or ex-wives decide to come forward, it could be a snowball effect, and he could be behind bars for a long time if it's indictable. SA, along with another indictable offense of confinement, he could be in there for 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not just going to go off of the victim's word, right? They've got to have more than that to bring these charges. And I agree, they're going to be indictable. They're not going to go off, well, he said this or he did this, unless you have something to corroborate that, unless you have pictures to show the bruises or something of that nature. They're not just going to take our word for it. I mean, they're just not. Hey, Seth, how are you, dear?
Well, Seth, you guys know we've talked about Sebastian Rogers' case. Actually, February 25th is what is that? Is that 2 years?
Sadly,
2 years.
yes. 2
Yeah.
years too long.
Yeah. So for anyone knows, you guys know we've talked about Sebastian Rogers' case. Very, what I deem as a parallel case in a lot of ways to Jack and Lily's case. So obviously Seth Rogers is the father of Sebastian Rogers. Again, we have the biological mom, the stepfather, Chris and Katie, and then Seth being Sebastian's biological father. And 2 years. I know that stuff has amped up a bit with Sebastian Rogers. Honestly, I really haven't had time to dive into what's going on there too much. Always thinking about Sebastian Rogers. So anyways, for the father, Seth Rogers, for anyone that's in house, just give him lots of hugs and prayers in the answers for Sebastian Rogers himself. Because December 7th is Sebastian's birthday. And did he turn 16 or 16 or 17? 17, wasn't it? I know it's the crazy thing about these cases is just how fast time goes. Like, not to obviously the parents or stuff like that, it would kind of probably seem it as snail's pace, but in general, time, like, it's kind of like my mom. She died in 2015. And here we sit at almost 2000. Well, we are in 2026, and yet it feels like only a couple of years ago, and here we sit at 11 years coming up and stuff like that. So it's kind of like one of those things is that it feels like it was only, recent, but yet we're here at 2 years coming up for Sebastian Rogers. We're coming up to 9 months for Jack and Lily on the 2nd and stuff like that. Anyway, Seth, always prayers for answers for Sebastian Rogers, your boy, and biggest hugs to you. The only reason, because I kept scrolling down, and then I saw someone go, "Hi, Seth," and I'm like, wait, let me scroll back up, right? It's hard to, when you're listening and talking, because I'm listening to Shanann and Melissa, so the chat is kind of like off to the side, and every now and again I take a peek over there, and then I was scrolling because I thought it wasn't moving for a bit there, and I was like, wait, what? But anyway,
Shan had that issue yesterday. It would like stop for 4 or 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden she would get like 60, 70 messages.
Yeah, it was like it was just sitting there.
Yeah, it was frustrating. One thing I wanted to point out as well is it's quite well known that the Martell brothers were in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu scene. And I feel that knowing that gives Daniel quite the upper hand, pun intended, for strength and agility, and basically to be able to use that against Malehya, who, as far as I know, has no formal training in mixed martial arts. So anyone that knows a lot about or knows anything about jiu-jitsu or Brazilian jiu-jitsu, a lot of that involves holds and detaining and basically making it so that somebody can't move, strangulations. So to me, I have no doubt that some of this was used to his benefit against
Victim?
many people.
Yeah, or many
Well,
people. Mm.
let's not forget too, men typically and statistically have more strength than a woman does. It's just
Yep,
a fact of
I
it
know.
you
is.
know biology.
I know.
Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely. I hate to admit that, really, you know, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's true. Just hate to admit it. But I mean, it's true. Their strength is typically greater than a female's strength for sure.
Yeah.
Now, so like I said, so anyone coming in, if you guys haven't hit that like and the share, please do. And Shanann is streaming on her channel. American Justice Melissa streaming on her channel. So there's this 3 streams going on right now. So thank you guys all for being here. At the end all to be all, regardless of happy days of, to me, happy days charges. I still think that this is the start of the bigger picture of everything going on for sure. I still feel like that there's a stalemate going on, and that's why we haven't seen anything with the Jack and Lily's case, like arrests or anything like that come out. But I feel like this is like a backdoor to all of this. And well, I seen a post today, and I'll say this is that someone was basically making a comment towards the charges and say victim, and basically saying like, well, victim was, basically, accepted, basically it, right? But it's kind of one of those things. How many cases do we see where somebody's been AR'd? And, and it's, let's just say hypothetically, whatever, that it's, well, no, because there are cases, tons of cases where it's their partner, but at the time, maybe they're scared, whatever. And then charges come out later for an R or something like that in these cases and stuff like that. Now, regardless still of all that stuff, this really to us always is about Jack and Lily and answers for Jack and Lily. And I'm one of those ones that, I hate waiting for the process to happen, but the process has to happen. You have to trust in the process. Because I see this time and time again where people think that nothing's going on. And there are cases, obviously, but yet they're working their asses off behind the scenes and stuff like that, find answers for Jack and Lily. And what I say is this, I am very patient in the sense of, yes, do I want to have answers for Jack and Lily? Like, freaking last, 9 months ago. Absolutely. But being in true crime, that the process doesn't happen always so swiftly, and it can take a year, it can take 2 years, it can take 3 years, 4 years, etc. But knowing that you just have to, this is what you need to believe in the process. Okay.
Yes.
Because the process is what's going to give us the answers, hopefully sooner than later. But I still feel like that this is the start of a process, maybe a means for people to speak more, give answers, come forward, whatever the reason, whatever. I always believe in the, like, yes, we're here, but to me, this will lead up to the bigger picture that we're wanting. And that's to find answers for Jack and Lily. And so I'm just willing to always let things play out the way that they're meant to play out. As much as I hate waiting and I hate, like that part of it, it's inevitable. It's just inevitable. We can think about it, wish for it all day long, but it will happen when the timing is meant to happen. Sadly, no family member wants to hear that, obviously, but it's the simple matter of truth. That's,
Blaming the victim doesn't do any good. It just doesn't. And it just kind of, quite frankly, shows how ignorant people are when they blame a victim. But at the same time, I can understand where people would say, well, she put up with it, or she didn't do anything about it. In cases where the woman, absolutely stays. I can see where people would say that, but they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Yes, she may be staying because statistically, when you leave an abuser, that is the most dangerous time. So yes,
Absolutely.
that person may stay, but they could also be working with the police to put that abuser behind bars. So you can't judge somebody just because they stay, because there's things we don't know about.
Yeah, I want to say something on this point because
Sure.
people who haven't been in this situation have absolutely zero clue. They are completely ignorant to what actually goes on. It is like a psychological warfare on the victim that is on the receiving end of any kind of domestic violence, whether it be mental or physical. Imagine that you are a woman who meets this guy who sweeps you off your feet. And before you know it, you're pregnant, and the guy starts slowly changing, starts telling you what you can wear, who you can hang out with. But it's slowly, it's like a small little increments of control. And then all of a sudden, you realize you have this baby, you've got no family around you, you've got no friends around you, you don't have a job. He controls all the money, and you want to leave. But because our justice system is so fucked, that if you leave, you're going to have to share custody with this man who beats you, assaults you, Rs you, abuses you physically and mentally, and degrades you every single day, who is potentially also violent with your children, that you then have to share custody 50-50 with that man, and your child is going to spend half of their time alone with this person. So, does a good mother stay to try to protect her child, or does a good mother leave and then send her child to spend all that time alone with this person? What would you do? I
Exactly.
implore.
And people
Well,
can't answer
let's
that unless they've been there.
Yeah.
right. For me, again, there's two different equations here. So Jack and Lily are victims of the case and the disappearance of, from the property of obviously Malehya and Daniel, and the property Janie owns or whatever. So when I remove Jack and Lily from the equation, like I've said before, because most of us here, myself, you guys have heard me talk about my domestic violence, and that I don't usually. The only reason why I even speak about that stuff is honestly, if it can help somebody leave a relationship that's like that, then I've made a difference. And I know I've made a difference because I've had emails from people telling me that them listening to me has made them leave the person that they're with. And that's my only intent, with that myself. But it's kind of like if I remove Jack and Lily from this situation and I just look at it like the one part from the female point of view, in a sense, being a female, being with someone that is like a Daniel Martell, then it's kind of like one of those things. Like I said, unless you're walking in somebody's shoes that way for that part of it, then you wouldn't know what it's like. Because I know I stayed 11 years in the first one, abusive, right? Thrown in like all that stuff. Finally, I realized that there was no child involved, thankfully, that my life was worth so much more than being kicked, punched, black eyes, couldn't walk for a week, all that shit. My life was worth so much more than doing it and stuff like that. So from this part of the case, like eliminating, say, the Jack and Lily part from this, because they're the most important out of all of this still, is yeah, unless you walk a mile in somebody's shoes, you really, it's easy to judge. unless you're fully in it yourself. It's usually because of low self-esteem. That's what it boils down to.
And I'm the
Or
mom that made the decision to stay to protect my kids until it
like a
was
lot do,
almost too late.
And Paul, as for you, I 2 + 2 on that one, Paul. I think the obvious about the charges and the case and stuff like that one. But yeah, Shannon, sorry, did you want to add more to that?
No, it just, I think we all saw that post on Facebook made by Lilly Jack, which really disturbs me because they use Lilly and Jack's name in order to proliferate shame on people that have been abused. And it sounds like a typical man who's speaking under the guise of Lilly and Jack on Facebook. And I just found it really disturbing for them to say along the lines, well, the woman just basically, swept it under the rug because she stayed. And it's just ignorance, and people need to be educated on domestic violence. It is a huge problem in Nova Scotia. The chief superintendent of the police, the RCMP for Nova Scotia, didn't say that Jack and Lily's case, the epidemic of domestic violence, and human trafficking, those are the 3 largest problems that the RCMP dealt with in 2025. And that was not said because there isn't a problem with domestic violence. He said that it's number 2 for a reason. And it is prolific here, and in particular in our rural areas, and in particular I'm going to say this in a nice way, people that have that are poverty stricken as well, because they have the more aggravating factors of lack of funds. But throw in meth addiction as well, then I would say the odds are pretty high that there were people being violated at 1407 Gairloch Road.
Sorry.
I get passionate. Sorry. It really irks me when I see people just blatantly unaware of the effects of domestic violence on people, and the long-term effects, and why women stay, and how they shame them for staying, because
well, then I must be pretty shamed then, I guess. Yeah.
No, I mean, but you realize that like women who have children, right? Like they're faced with like an unimaginable case, like it's stay and protect your children or leave them there 50% of the time without you there, and that is a scary, scary thought to me to think of. Imagine leaving Meadow with Daniel alone 50% for 3.5 days a week. I mean,
no thanks.
Yeah, that's why I said like this case, like there's a couple different levels here, because I'm all about women loving themselves enough to never put up with the shit of a relationship and someone treating you that way. But it's an easier thing said than done, like I said, with that. But then the side of this case, is obviously about Jack and Lily, and the fact that they went missing underneath Malehya's and Daniel's care there. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like in my head, I think about it in a couple of ways, but still the whole bottom line for me is that Jack and Lily are missing. We're looking for answers for Jack and Lily, but never diminish a female that's in an abusive relationship. Because it's, like I said, I spent 11 years, my first one, I spent 11 years in that, like I said, I remember one time making a comment like women do this, sometimes we do the stupidest stuff. And then a couple people were blasting me for saying that, but it's true, because, women think differently than men. We think that if we love them more, they're going to change, that if they do this, they're going to change, that, and you think of all the things that are going to happen. But at the end of the day of it all, I always take accountability for leaving myself in a situation. Like I've never ever blamed my first ex Dion. Like his actions were his actions, but I'm the one that stayed in that relationship regardless, right? So it was my own lack of self-worth and stuff like that that allowed me to think that, like I said, that I, like, why? I mean, like, if you love someone, why do they hate you? Why are they putting their hands on you? You forgive them because they say sorry, and all of those things try to control you. Dion was the same way. If I wore something, like I could wear something that was even more clothes than this shirt, and he'd say, "What are you slut for? Who you trying to impress? Nobody wants you, type of thing. Nobody else all that stuff." And it's like not true, but like I said, you're in the midst of it all. You're just like stupidly, but I love
I
you.
think you're being a bit too hard on yourself, Sunny, as well. I do think you are, because ultimately that was his goal, was to make you feel that way,
Oh,
you know?
of course.
So, like, even though you take accountability for the decision that you made to stay there, you, in essence, were brainwashed by him into thinking that things could change and that he would be different. And if you just dressed a certain way, it could be different. If you, spoke a certain way, if you just didn't trigger him the way you did, if you just hadn't spoke, like they mess with your mind.
I was gonna say like I'm wise enough to see it all, but
Now,
well,
yes.
no, even then, I knew exactly what was happening, but I still stayed there because out of the sake of love, thinking that things will change. Like those are things that, like that I was doing. Like, so meaning that although it's one of those things, like I would never say that he was brainwashing me. I mean, obviously he's trying to control me, and I see this, but I'm still the one that still realizing what's going on. But out of the things you do for love, or the things that you think will make a difference, you try to change up yourself in order to please him, and then you realize that pretty much everything that you are has been almost taken away, because I allowed it to be taken away by him, in a sense. So that's the part that I'll never blame anyone for, because I still knew what was going on, and I could have left, but I was young. I was like 15 when I met him. The things I know now are obviously quite different to then, and it really just came down to knowing that him hitting me is wrong, knowing that, all this stuff is wrong. But like I said, that whole love stuff kicks in, and you're just always trying to make the relationship work. Hindsight tells me, obviously, like, what was I thinking? But I had to go through those experiences, even with my second ex, my ex-husband, towards the end there, where he became very verbally abusive and a little bit of the whatever. But that's the one where I was kind of, because my last ex had a gun. For some reason, when I saw his eyes the one day as he was like yelling at me, all I saw was black eyes, like black in his eyes. And all I could think about was he could go and I wasn't in true crime. He could literally go into that garage. And I just kind of at that point felt for my own safety. Like he was so angry, and it scared me to see him. And that's when I was like, oh, I need to get out of this, because he's turning into a really mean person, and I don't like I don't like guns at all. Right. And so just knowing that a person has the ability just to go do that because they're that angry at you. We always see cases nowadays. People just lose it. They just lose it. They freaking go black, and then they, take their wife's life out, or their kids and stuff, because they're just in full rage and stuff. So, but
that is the goal of an abuser, is to
absolutely,
make you feel like you somehow,
it's your fault.
It's your fault, and that you somehow, because you stayed, or you must, like when you hear Wade, that was one thing that really affected me as well, is I believe all the things that Wade said in that in that hidden interview with Tint. But the
a lot of it,
mentality
yeah.
of him saying, well, she must have liked it because she stayed. Like those are the words that come out of men's mouths and other people's
Mhm.
mouths. Well, she must have liked it, you know, and
Yeah,
that's not what it
that's
is, you
sour.
know, it's,
No.
yeah. And I just, you know, um, again, I know there was opportunities for Malehya to leave, but it's like leaving at what cost? And I didn't have children when I was in that position, right? But had I had children, I don't know what I don't know. I don't know where I'd be right now if I had been in that situation with children. But I hear from women that reach out to me all the time.
Yeah.
And it really hit home because I did get a message in today from a woman who described that exact thing that I was talking about, which was
Mhm.
her option was to stay and at least protect her children with herself, or it was leave and share custody with this man who, by all rights and purposes, could have done what many men do and have done, which is, you know, take out the children for revenge because they were going to leave. You know, it happens all the
Absolutely. All the
time.
time.
It
All the
happens
time.
all the time. And, you know, that's why I have sympathy. I have sympathy. I have immense sympathy for Malehya because of that situation and the situation she was faced with. Like knowing what we know now, I don't blame her. Yes, of course, Lily and Jack were not his children, but Meadow was. And leaving with Meadow would have meant, and he was already fighting for custody of his other two children. Just a few days before this situation happened, he was in Truro filling out paperwork, fighting for custody of his other two children. So, you know, she was then faced with having to bring Meadow over to Janie and to Daniel and to all of his other relatives and having Meadow there for half the week. And I can appreciate how difficult of a choice that would have been. But, you know, the truth will come out as to what's happened. I have no doubt it will.
Yeah, I believe the truth will come out. Absolutely, for sure. Go ahead, Melissa. Were you going to say something?
So I was my children's shield
Thank you, little black bear.
for a long time. And it was just that. It was either leave with my children and still have to share, or stay and protect them. And I chose to stay and protect them to the best of my ability until my ex-husband said enough was enough one day. And he put a gun to my head. And luckily that gun jammed. And I guess in a way I got the final laugh on that one, because a week later he was cleaning that gun and shot himself in the hand. So, I mean, I guess I admit I kind of got a chuckle out of that because it was karma coming back at him. But, you know, it's not something, a lot of people think DV is just, you know, it from the get-go, and you don't. It slowly changes. Well, you better bring home receipts because all of the money better be accounted for. It better not even be a penny short. And, you know, like I was saying before the live, with this snow, I am trapped in my home because I can't leave with my car. And because of my prior abuse situations, I cannot feel like I don't have an exit. I have to feel like I have an exit no matter where I'm at. Whenever I walk into a room, I note the exits. It's just how it works. And so, I mean, I can understand somebody staying because I did.
Oh, yeah. You know, again, to me, this is two different things. Like I said, there's the side of it. If I take Jack and Lily out, obviously, like I said, we're talking about the DV side, or the, you know, controlling, coercive, you know, a narcissistic personality of Daniel and stuff like that. But you guys, sorry, and only because I do want to bring this back to about the Jack and Lily and the play a couple clips here to do with, of course, Jack and Lily missing. So domestic violence, if you're in one, or a controlling relationship, do yourself a favor, love yourself enough to leave. People want to judge, they will, regardless. And then, like I said, but as for the Jack and Lily case, part of it, they disappeared underneath the watch of Malehya and Daniel. And all I know is, like, for this case, bottom line, we want answers. We want answers for Jack and Lily. That's what this is all about at the end of the day. But like I said, knowing that the domestic violence side, I'm very supportive, because being from it all, we just want people to, obviously, if you're not in the shoes and never walked in it, then it's like, obviously, if I'm not a doctor and try to talk like a doctor, well, obviously you're not, a true doctor, right? But in saying that, be from experience and, from the panel, from others that are in the chat, stuff like that, bless anyone that's ever left or been through it, and to love yourself enough to get out. So if you guys don't mind, I'd like to play this clip here. This is from whatever it was, like a few weeks back, before charges were brought against Daniel. So I wanna play this, if you guys don't mind, for a sec. And this one, I believe, is only like a minute long on this one, but I want you to listen to, of course, what Daniel says here. Let's see. Sorry, that's this one, and I'll make it bigger.
More tonight about the home life of missing siblings Jack and Lily Sullivan, thanks to newly released court documents. Details in the files obtained by Global News further pit the children's mother, Malehya Brooks, and stepfather, Daniel Martell, against one another. According to the transcripts, Martell says the couple met just over 3 years ago on Facebook dating and moved in together after about 2 weeks. Also in the documents, Brooks told investigators the couple's relationship could be physically abusive at times, alleging Martell would try to block her, hold her down, and on one instance, pushed her. Martell refutes the claims.
I kind of seen it coming after, on May 3rd, when she abandoned the search for the kids. And ever since, after the May 3rd, after she left, it was a narrative to paint me as evil and a monster and all these other things. I've always been very open and honest this whole way through, and I don't see no reason to stop now.
Brooks declined Global News' request for comment today. We'll have more from reporter Ella MacDonald's interview with Martell tonight at 11.
Coming back. DEA. No, if you're talking about the documents, okay, so if you're talking about the documents recently, about the charges, absolutely not. For those, absolutely not. Okay. Because those are got a public ban. They shouldn't be shown by anybody, and stuff like that, with the victim's name. If you're talking about the other documents, obviously we have all those. But yeah, so anything to do with like the current charges and the documents, I won't be showing anything. Again, once March 2nd comes along and, stuff can be lifted and stuff like that. So I'm not sure. So if that's what you're talking about, then absolutely nope. And not only that, only mods can post links on that. So
Sonny, I will want to jump in here and say that I redacted the victim's name, and one of the conditions of his being out of jail. Those are in the document that I created for those that want to see it. But again, you're not going to get any identifying information.
Right, exactly. And that's why the news, and that's why, 1 second here, got to close off my jelly roll here. And that's why I'm just going to stop and share screen. We'll come back to that in just a second. Share screen. And this one right here should be up. And this was one recently, obviously, by, who was this one by? CBC News Nova Scotia. We'll come back to that one.
Is facing charges of sexual assault, and forcible confinement. Martell is the stepfather of missing children Lilly and Jack Sullivan. RCMP have confirmed they arrested 34-year-old Martell on Monday. Police say the victim is an adult, but are not providing any more details. Martell was living with Lily, Jack, and their mother when the children went missing from his family home in Lansdowne, Nova Scotia last May. The woods surrounding the home was searched for days, and RCMP Major Crimes has been conducting an extensive investigation. But little is known about what happened to the children, and so far, the case has not turned criminal. Earlier this month, RCMP Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon said none of the children's family members are suspects.
I wouldn't say anybody's a suspect. Again, we continue to gather information and whatever evidence that we are able to find, and we'll make our decisions based on that. But we are not in a position to really comment on suspects or anything like that at this time.
The mysterious nature of their disappearance has garnered international media attention. Martell has spoken publicly about what happened that day and the months that have followed. Martell is due in Pictou Provincial Court on March 2nd. Ali Thompson, CBC News.
So obviously they navigated around, like Melissa was just saying about the documents. Okay, so I seen you put that in the chat on there, I think it was, and actually I forgot about it till you just brought it up. But obviously the news, just like we all know, right? Or at least put our brain cells in, 2 + 2, is that they obviously, again, couldn't give certain information out because obviously it says who the victim is. So Melissa's, I guess you just basically put out the information that's been shared on the news anyway, because everyone knows that Daniel Martell, is charged with these 3, crimes against victim, and but there was like a condition in there that obviously, again, like the news, they didn't put it out because obviously it tells people who victim is. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, I made sure that no identifying information for the victim was visible. And then, like I said, in the one condition of his release, reading it, even if I took out the victim's name, the rest of the condition would say who the victim is. So I went ahead and blocked it out. I didn't block out the condition itself. I didn't block out anything except for the name. So if there was a name, I blocked that out, but that was it. That's the only thing redacted from that.
Okay. Now, Shanann, going back to the first clip I played, that one to me, of course, like out of all those kind of video news clips that came out, a few weeks back before charges were laid, there goes Daniel again. And now I want to make my stance very clear on this, is that, like I said, there's the DV side of things or coercive control relationship stuff. But myself personally, I feel like if one knows, they all know. And I believe that Daniel and Malehya, in the disappearance of Jack and Lily, have the answers for what happened to Jack and Lily, myself. Okay. So for this, I'm speaking for my personal self. Shanann can speak for herself. Melissa can speak for herself, and to me, that still is the bottom line of what we're trying to fight for, is answers for Jack and Lily, and if this is the stepping stone to, helping with the case, in my opinion, of answers for Jack and Lily, so be it. But pointing out that clip, there's Daniel again, being the victim there, blaming Malehya, as he does for everything. That when she left, on March 3rd, here I was being painted the evil monster, which I knew was going to go on, type of idea. No, dude, you painted yourself as that monster because you would not stop talking.
I'd like it if you could play that clip again.
Yeah, sure.
Because what I noticed is all the while he's saying, I was open and honest this whole time while shaking his head no.
Right.
While shaking his head no. So he doesn't even believe his own words. That's just basic body language analysis.
Right.
And yes, he goes straight away into, I was being painted this evil monster, but she's the one that abandoned the search on May the 3rd, when we know that that's not actually the situation and on how that all came about.
Right.
So there he is painting Malehya in a bad light, one saying that Malehya is trying to paint him in a bad light. So again, just projection, just the usual with him. And the fact that he doesn't even believe his own words says a lot to me. watch his head very carefully when he starts saying these things.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Okay.
We're learning more tonight about the home life of missing siblings Jack and Lily Sullivan, thanks to newly released court documents. Details in the files obtained by Global News further pit the children's mother, Malehya Brooks, and stepfather, Daniel Martell, against one another. According to the transcripts, Martell says the couple met just over 3 years ago on Facebook dating and moved in together after about 2 weeks. Also in the documents, Brooks told investigators the couple's relationship could be physically abusive at times, alleging Martell would try to block her, hold her down, and on one instance, pushed her. Martell refutes the claims.
I kind of seen it coming after, on May 3rd when she abandoned the search for the kids. And ever since, after the May 3rd, after she left, it was a narrative to paint me as evil and a monster and all these other things. I've always been very open and honest this whole way through, and I don't see no reason to stop now.
Brooks declined Global News' request for comment today. We'll have more.
We'll leave it with that face, I suppose. I mean, anytime Daniel opens up his mouth, again, even if he's telling the truth, you can't believe it because he's shown enough of his inconsistencies and his lies that you can't, like I said, there's nothing that you can say that you believe from his mouth. If some people do, so be it, enjoy it, whatever. Okay. For me, like, I know there's people out there that, if Daniel needed money for a lawyer, there's people out there that's like, I'll stand first in line. I'd never stand in that lineup ever. Because if you take away Jack and Lily missing and you listen, you've seen the wording that Daniel Martell has used himself with Taylor, of course, the girlfriend that he was with after this, or at least one of them. And again, you see the wording that he's used, talking about how his own other 2 kids, claimed abuse on Jack and Lily. Like his own words are just like, for us, to me, it's great. Keep destroying yourself, dude, in every which way, shape, or form. But to me personally, for anyone, but it's okay, because this is my opinion, for anyone to stand behind this man, regardless of Jack and Lily missing, knowing what you know, and knowing what you're seeing, and someone's still going to back this man, that's just crazy to me. That's just absolutely absurd. But realizing that there's people that write killers in jails.
I was just thinking that. I was going to come out and say, well, people marry serial killers and send them love letters in jail. So.
I mean, like,
there's some of them in the chat right now.
It's just one of those things. Yeah, like, it's just like the line of absurd. Like, how could any normal thinking person sit there and be supportive of this man taking away Jack and Lily out of the equation and think that this is a rock solid dude? I mean, like, he clearly is inconsistent. He's clearly has lied. Who would ever want to be in a relationship with the fact of two missing children? And like, and I'm not talking about Taylor on this one anymore. I'm talking about others. And are blinded. Like, are you people blind? Like, it's just absurd. It's whacked to think that anyone would, regardless if it's Daniel, even another person that's got the same personality. Like, it's so twisted to me. We've saw Taylor's messages that Daniel has said, the control, the R word, all this stuff, right? We're seeing charges, and bottom line is that they're charges because to the victim, because regardless again of Jack and Lily missing, there's still charges that they wouldn't be bringing if they didn't feel like they had evidence to support this. So to me, like, you're off your freaking ass rocker if you literally would support a personality. And in this case, it's clear as day. Like, you'd have to be blind not to see his personality. Like, am I wrong? I don't think so.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. And there is a particular type of woman, and I'm not quite sure. Perhaps they are have some sort of cognitive disability of some sort. But if you are going to stand behind a man whose own children reported that he was abusive to Jack and Lily, his own children have said that, and now his wife, advised by a lawyer, was told not to allow her children around Daniel, who has, like you said, repeatedly said to multiple women about his R fantasy and how if they screamed and said no, that he would do it anyway and do it harder. I mean, if you want to defend that type of man, then I really suggest you call for mental health assessment immediately. I would actually just go on over to the hospital and turn yourself in and get yourself checked out, because you clearly have issues. And I'm not sure if there's enough therapy in the world to fix you.
Honestly, that's just fucked up on every level. Seriously. And that's what I don't get. Like, okay, so I mean, I do realize that everyone has the right to their choice and their thoughts and whatever. But like I said, I'm all about looking straight down the narrow of this, of whenever you see a personality that's a full-blown type of narcissistic personality, in my opinion, and it's clear as day that he's inconsistent. There's no denying that. Okay, anyone that's followed the story knows how many different levels of ways that Malehya was calling 911 when he was running out of the trees, about the two blankets.
He told her to wait. He told her to wait.
Well, no, right. Well, like I said, there's multiple, but I mean, like, I could smell shit a mile away. Smell it. It's not like, how could someone be so blinded by this personality, seeing what they're seeing for 9 months, and then on top of that, seeing charges come upon him, and on top of that, knowing those messages from Taylor, and think, you know what? I think I got a good man here. Yep, gonna stand me. Sorry, in my world, that's just fucked up, because that means that to me, my personal opinion, I think that you're
documents, Sunny. But the documents, Sunny. But the documents. You know what the documents say? The documents say that he.
I mean, whoops, one sec. I mean, come on now. Like, right? No violence ever. Remember there was their relationship. Nope, no violence. Oh, wait a second. Stop. No. I'm wrong. Daniel, right? Because Daniel says, Malehya used to hit me, you know, just another bunch of lies and the web of lies going on in this whole case.
Yeah.
And stuff. Anyways, it's
He couldn't use his Brazilian jiu-jitsu to fight her off. Poor
You know,
guy.
it's
Poor
just
guy.
I just, you know, I mean, it's just my own thoughts. Sorry, but you know, this is where I just don't get people sometimes. But you know what? They'll be the first ones to donate to the lawyer fund or something like that and stuff. And it happened, like it happens in many cases, you know. It's just my personal thoughts.
Sorry.
Okay. Daff, I got proof. Is she a troll? I feel like she's trolling us. No. I think Daff did a live earlier on the Tepe case there going on. Yeah. Daff, if you want to come up, you know where the link is. It's in the stream. It's in the creator chat for anyone. Melissa, go ahead. Your turn to speak over there.
So I just want to point out 2 weeks is really, really quick. You do not know somebody in 2 weeks. You do not truly know somebody in their true colors, even in my opinion, after a month. It takes, in my opinion, at least 6 months to really, truly know somebody's true colors when you start dating them, because you go through this honeymoon period where they pretend to be generally somebody they're not. So to move in with somebody 2 weeks later is really quick, in my opinion. But we must all be on the same wavelength, because we all wrote down about or talked about how certain women have this killer fantasy and how they'll back somebody and be with them. And some women will search these people out and think nothing of it and defend them. And, well, it wasn't really them, or I can change them, or whatever is going through their little mental heads at the point. Like at that point, just go check yourself in. But something that Shan said, yes, not only was he shaking his head no, but again, his story has changed yet again, because he has said in that interview that he was completely open, or he was completely honest, or whatever. He's been honest this whole time. Well, Daniel Martell, let me draw your attention back to the DT show, of course. At 9 minutes and 1 second in, you said, I was pretty upfront with everything. So that isn't saying that I'm being honest. That isn't saying that I've laid it all out on the table. Here's my cards. Here's what happened. Make a decision. That's not what that says. That says I'm still hiding something, right? And then Daniel says, well, when the case goes cold, I'll drop a little more information. I'll drop a little more evidence, whatever. So you haven't been honest this whole time, Daniel. Let's get that factually right. You've not been honest this whole time. And I don't think he's being honest now. And in my opinion, I really feel like he's going to go to court. He's going to plead not guilty and be like, well, it was Malehya's fault, or it was Taylor's fault, or it was whoever's fault. And he's going to try to blame it on anybody and everybody besides himself. It was how I was raised. Well, I thought that was normal. I didn't see a problem with it. And like I said the other day, I think I was on with Charmaine when I said it. You know, we've talked about the lock on the outside of their bedroom door, and how when he heard Lily, because it rattled, that lock on the door. Well, maybe that lock on the door was used for something else that we don't know about.
I don't even want to think what went on in that home, to be honest. I hate to think of Jack and Lily and what went on in that home, truly. Thanks, Nor. He says, who's laughing now, Daniel? Not you anymore. Fuck no. If we see him bald in the next week, it wouldn't shock me from his hair falling out. You know?
He always said that no matter what, he would keep Jack and Lily in the forefront of everyone's mind. And if things went quiet, that he would be out here, and that he's the only one that's advocating for the children. He hasn't advocated. I don't even know if he's even said their name in the last few interviews that he's done. All he's
Well,
ever,
that's the
all
thing.
he's, yeah, he's just there with poor me. You know,
Me,
everyone's
me.
trying to make me look like a monster and that I'm evil, and this is just part of their narrative. Let's remember who created the narratives in the first place. It was him that came
Exactly.
out first, who was sending out messages to Charmaine, to yourself, to anyone that would listen, that it was Malehya. It was Malehya. It was Malehya. You know, Malehya knows where the kids are. You know,
Yeah.
I just, you know, I just,
Or, hey, boss man, Brad's in the house, guys. Hey, Brad.
Brad.
Nice to see ya. And say hi to the wife, Mary, for us as well. You know, I mean, remember when even like I said, his own screenshots, you know, he's trying to blame Brad. He says that Brad's the one with the fifth whatever it was, the fifth 5 speed. You know, and again, just everything is just a misdirect. Honestly,
Oh,
Daniel is just so disgusting. So disgusting. Like,
they didn't want to keep the four-wheeler at the trailer because of Brad, but they'd keep it at Earl's down the road. Like, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, because that's so much further.
I know.
All right.
Yeah.
But Daniel can't drive the four-wheeler, but he can drive Janie's car and wreck it.
Yeah. Ugh. Honestly, I want to play one more clip here. Let's see here. I just, you know, this case is not funny, but the Daniel side of it all, the Netflix crack jokes, the KFC bucket. Yeah, he ain't going to be like, come on, bring on those charges. Indictable. Come on, March 2nd. Let's see. Come on now. I call it karma's a bitch. When you lie, deceive, manipulate people, you know, try to act like you're the innocent victim out of all this, that Malehya is the one that hit you according to your own words and stuff like that. It's just so disgusting to watch. In the case of 2 missing children, you know, that's what gets me out of all this. 2 children are missing. And again, Daniel's always just talking about, you never hear about, you know what, you guys, we just want you guys all to work together for Jack and Lily, find out. No. It's all about how Reddy and the dog narc, you know, had the nerve to say that to him, you know, and oh my God. But it's laughable watching someone literally that where you almost really don't have to do the work because he just he just lays out his lies and inconsistencies for you because he can't stop, because that's what narcissists do, in my opinion.
He thinks that everyone believes him. Well, I don't know if he does anymore. He can't
He wants
possibly
us to.
anymore.
Well,
But he does have a following. He does have a core group of people that thinks the sun shines out of his ring hole.
Yeah, well, they're fucked up too then. Sorry. That's my personal thoughts. Because that's just not normal, okay? It's not normal for that. What's normal is people care about the victims, you know, of this, Jack and Lily, and that they've watched this story play out for this long. And this isn't brainiac work here, regardless, okay? If you're lying during an investigation of 2 missing children and you're inconsistent and you're trying to persuade all these different narratives and all these different things about, you know, the chairs weren't moved, that Malehya left her laundry on purpose at Grandma Patty's house, and you keep trying to insert and get ahead of the game and all that stuff. Like I said, either you got the biggest blinders on, you know, and there's just, you know what? I still understand that people have their own thinking. This is my thinking, but still, I like to at least think on a grounded level of how these cases go, what the norm is, and the norm is not to support fucked up individuals. It's not
the
hard.
norm is to support the victims, and the victims are Jack and Lily. No matter how you slice it, the victims of this are Jack and Lily. Jack and Lily are the ones missing. Jack and Lily were abused, in my opinion. Jack and Lily were not loved, in my opinion. any way you slice it, Jack and Lily are the victims in this case. Of course, if you ask Daniel Martell, it's him.
And not only that, there's still information that you guys don't even know about yet because it can't come to light for certain reasons and stuff like that, and it's just like, and then obviously, honestly, what the police have, RCMP have, we just got the tip of the iceberg. And I still think that the tip of the iceberg, is pretty big for what we're just seeing already in the last 9 months of the case of Jack and Lily. Again, it's not normal that people try to manipulate or lie or deceive, and stuff like that during a missing case and persons. But you know what, Daniel, like I said, let's karma be a bitch to you, dude. Like I said, you make your bread, it gets buttered. And you lie in it. You play with fire and you want to lie and deceive and you want to try to manipulate everyone with your shit. People that are smart don't fall for it because we see right through exactly what's going on. Nobody, of course, has been convicted for anything for Jack and Lily, but just in a case, if you're telling the truth, all this crap would not be happening with deception and inconsistencies the way it has.
Yeah.
A timeline that blows apart. Yeah.
Let's just remind Tinker about what Daniel said about the CPS visit. He was absolutely adamant that CPS only came because the children were behind in their learning. Okay? Let's just remember that was the story that he was pushing. And let's just remember that it was actually the school that put in a complaint due to Jack turning up to school with multiple black eyes, grubby, and improper clothing. They went downhill in their appearance, their health, after Daniel Martell came into the picture. It is very telling to me that Belynda said that Malehya was made to be a mom and cared for the children deeply, that they looked clean, well put together until Daniel came into the picture.
That Malehya never raised her voice at them.
Yep.
Or hit them.
Yeah, that was soft spoken. Let's also remember that it was Daniel that didn't want Malehya to go and see. Michelle, show receipts. You show receipts. Don't you live in Ontario? What do you know?
Michelle, we've shown receipts multiple times. You have come up on my live and you have talked and we let you have your say. We all understand that you support Daniel and that's fine. You can, but you're not going to disrespect a panel member in the chat or you will be removed.
Michelle James, who lied about her name, lied about her location, and lied about who she is. But we'll just please tell me which receipts you would like, please. I implore you, because we have all the receipts. All the receipts. Everything I say, I have receipts for. Everything.
Well, I was going to say, the receipts, a lot of the receipts are out of Daniel's own mouth.
Exactly. Exactly.
These inconsistencies are apparent. How many do we honestly, it's a joke to ask us for receipts. For Daniel.
My day job is collecting receipts. Okay.
When it comes to Daniel, like I said, no one's been charged in the case, right? And all that stuff. We still all have our opinions about what we feel happened to say Jack and Lily and stuff like that. But I'm all about receipts too, and stuff like that. And I have my own information, just like Shanann or any other creator and stuff like that. That doesn't always get shared out there. Because again, it's for me, it's never going to be about a click or a view of why I do something. So, but if we'll have receipts, absolutely. But Daniel, I mean, Daniel alone, like his own words. Anyway, I'm not even going to get into that because the proof is already in the pudding with Daniel. Again, if Michelle or Tinker and that want to support Daniel, absolutely, go ahead, all you want, But my personal
every
opinion
sentence that they write, you just are wrapping that rope more and more around your own neck because that's all you're doing, and you're not doing anyone a service, and you're certainly not helping anything or anyone find justice for Jack and Lily. You have brought zero to the table other than defend Daniel to the absolute limit. You have done nothing to assist in finding Jack and Lily or supporting Jack and Lily or saying that Jack and Lily are the victims. All you do is come into chats and discuss how wonderful Daniel Martell is. I think that you guys need to get a new day job.
So Michelle has been taken care of. Michelle, enjoy this live. You are not allowed to speak anymore. We've had enough. We don't need to show receipts, as we have shown them multiple times in the last almost 9 months. Now, something to go back here to Jack and Lily before we got off track, what Shan was saying, Daniel Martell said that CPS came out there because the kids were behind in school. Well, I wonder why they were behind in school. They went to school, maybe 5 days? Like, they missed so much school.
Which I called at the start, didn't I? I remember when this case started, and I was like, I can guarantee you that those kids have a lot of sick days, because you just know it. You just knew it. So when it did come out, it wasn't no shocker because darn well. And then Daniel on DT show tried, well, Daniel, kids go to school, they get sick, and they had this like a ton of a freaking slew of sick days. Again, just a bunch of BS, though, right? I mean, it's just your typical excuses that someone will give because they don't want to make themselves look bad, so they just sit there and try to make up BS and stuff like that. And but I mean, that whole thing was about like Lily pulling out her hair and stuff like that, and let alone, like I said, the car seat thing and stuff like that. I just, this whole case, it's it's what, to me, it's what happened up until Jack and Lily's disappearance. And I still think myself, my personal opinion, I'm still under the belief that the relationship was going down. Daniel's losing control of everything. And I still feel like myself that, in my personal opinion, that Daniel Martell has absolutely the answers, especially. I think that they all do, actually. I still think that the property knows what happened to Jack and Lily. But I ultimately believe that that Daniel, to me, is the one that's responsible for Jack and Lily's, we'll say, disappearance, or we'll say disappearance, for that. And again, you don't need to lie if you're telling the truth, and the truth isn't being told. And it's kind of whacked. This case is really whacked in many levels, to be honest, from Malehya's actions to Daniel's actions, the interviews. When you look at everything, the timeline, just it all, it's just crazy. Let me play this one more clip right in front of us here. This one was previous, so this is before charges, okay? But this is the one when the unredacted parts, and there was no, just for people that know that, like, the unredacted, it wasn't like it was like, I'm sure that they exist in the documents somewhere, but they were just kind of given exactly how Daphne showed them, exactly how I know that others received them. So it wasn't like getting all the pages again. I'm sure that they exist, but that's not, say, what was given. It was just simply those two. Do you guys know of the actual documents or no? Because as far as I know, that it was like, I know that they would obviously be in the updated documents regardless by the courts, but anyone that I know does not have the actual documents besides these documents that are from the court, like courts or whatever. Do you guys?
Not that I know of. I think we all have the same
thing,
general documents.
Right. I think C Legal was asking me, but just so you know, it was just like those screenshots. For anybody who supports Daniel, you're just as fucked in the head as he is.
Amen, boss man. Amen.
Okay. Let's see here. So this is, of course, this is Angela, I believe, right? Yeah, Angela MacGyver.
Case of missing children, Lilly and Jack Sullivan provide a closer look at the relationship between their mother and stepfather. The latest details come from lifted redactions CBC and other media outlets have been fighting for in the case. The documents include an affidavit filed by RCMP that explains the investigation to date.
Malehya Brooks Murray and her boyfriend Daniel Martell were together for about 3 years before Jack and Lily disappeared on May 2nd. All of them lived in the Lansdowne trailer where the children were last seen. According to the documents, Martell told police they'd been fighting about money. His mother also referenced financial difficulties. The new records disclose that in an RCMP interview, Brooks Murray said Martell would try to block her, hold her down, and once he pushed her. She said he would also take her phone from her when she tried to call her mom, which would sometimes be physical and hurt. Martell provides a different account. He told police their relationship was good and they had ups and downs like any other couple. He said they would yell at each other when they were fighting, but there was no physical violence in their relationship. RCMP Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon confirmed the nature of their relationship at the time of the children's disappearance is part of the investigation.
Are any of the children's family members considered suspects in this case?
I wouldn't say anybody's a suspect. Again, we continue to gather information and whatever evidence that we are able to find, and we'll make our decisions based on that. But we are not in a position to really comment on suspects or anything like that at this time.
The case is still being investigated under the Missing Persons Act and has not moved to a criminal investigation. But in new submissions, the Crown noted that while there is currently no reasonable grounds to believe a crime has taken place, it could become criminal.
When they state that there are no reasonable grounds for a criminal offense, what that really says to me is that there's currently not enough evidence to make an arrest for a crime, but a crime is not obviously being ruled out. It's a very important linguistic distinction.
The documents also say RCMP are using technology-based investigative techniques which may provide information to support criminality and help find Lilly and Jack. Angela Mackezies, CBC News.
Mackezies, CBC News. So anyway, I just want to play that clip again because, like I said, I mean, for the sake of the charges, we have to use the word victim because, again, there's a public ban on saying victim's name. But again, you guys, you know, like, it's one of those things. You guys know what's in the documents that were unredacted and what was said there. So to me, this is just the start of the downfall of and answers for Jack and Lily. Is that how you guys see this? You know, like Shanann, let me ask you. I believe that they are in a stalemate of with the evidence for answers for Jack and Lily. Underneath the Missing Persons Act type of thing. Rob McCammon says, basically can't, even if there was suspects, we can't talk about suspects type of thing. But I think realistically, looking at all this, that we know what they're thinking. Reddy wouldn't have said those things to Daniel. Daniel is just oblivious to his own shit. But thank you, Daniel, for letting us know about that. Appreciate that. It just gave us more insight into truly what they're thinking. So do you not feel like how do you feel? Like, I feel like they're in a stalemate with the case, but I think that although they have to separate this investigation in a sense, right? Opposite of Jack and Lily, because they have to, that this is, to me, a way of knowing who is responsible, and but using this avenue.
I think that is correct. I think this is stage one. This is the setup of, here is the guilty party, big arrows going towards Daniel. I don't think they're at a stalemate per se. I think when springtime comes along, I think there's going to be a very large push from lots of organizations to find Jack and Lily. And I think they have great ideas on where to look. I actually think that the scent dogs picked up something in the property. I think they detected something. That's just my opinion, but I think that the dogs hit on something. And to be honest, we don't need, although it would be great, and I want to say this really as gently as possible, we don't need to find Jack and Lily to prove what happened to them. Correct. There are other ways, right? And it has been done before.
Absolutely. Harmony Montgomery. Montgomery case.
Exactly. It's done here in Canada as well. There have been cases where there's been no body arrests for murder. So I believe that Sergeant Reddy's particular dog hit on something, maybe even the wood stove. When he said that the dog was running back and forth in the trailer, I think the dog was not overwhelmed with scent, but was hitting on a bunch of different things. And Daniel's attempt to get ahead of that narrative by discrediting the officer for speaking to him was just more it was just more insight into the way of Daniel's mind. But I believe that Mad Dog McCammon is incredibly composed, and that he says all the right things.
Right.
I know what the RCMP are like. I go back to the case of Penny Boudreau here in Nova Scotia, the mother who killed her daughter. And same language was used. Oh, we don't, think that she's a suspect or anything like that. But she was.
Right.
And she went to jail.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I
mean, my last thumbnail said, Danny boy, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Mad Dog's coming for you. And I stick by that statement.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
it's
honestly,
just a matter of time.
Yeah. Right. I mean, reasonably looking at what we've heard, what we've seen, what they keep saying and all that stuff. I mean, like I said, either we're the biggest, or the stupidest people in the world, which I don't believe we are by no means, or we see clearly what's going on with, this whole process. Like I said, didn't fall off of a turnip truck. To me, it's pretty evident what's going on here. And I'm just waiting for the process. And now when I say stalemate, I want to say, so they're not in a position to have enough to press charges. Absolutely. You need to have the certain proof. Do you need to have the bodies? No. As long as they got strong circumstantial evidence to the case, then they absolutely can proceed forward. Obviously, you would want to have bodies, in this case, perhaps try to find, let's say if Jack and Lily are no longer with us, a root cause of death, perhaps, maybe not, maybe, there's too much decomposure going on, and they, like, a lot of cases that happens, if there's too much decomposure, they can't always necessarily put it out there. But if there's, like, I know with Suzanne Morphew's case, for instance, in her bones, the injection, what was that stuff called? That dart stuff for animals, whatever that stuff is called, was found, right? Which was great. Whereas I was watching a case the other day where that she was, like, strangled, but yet because of the decomposition, they couldn't give, like, they couldn't put that down, but again, it was known. But anyway, so it's kind of like, I just feel like we're at a point where, to me, where they absolute, like, they know, right? And Daniel, if he wants to live in this world of denial, and twisted, like, twist his brain to whatever he thinks is going on versus reality, and that RCMP are his best friends and stuff like that, so be it. That's to his own demise. That's just his own stupidity. But it's one of those things. They're there. RCMP is there 100,000% for Jack and Lily. They're not there to be a best friend of Daniel's or Malehya's or any other person. They're there to find out answers and truth. So I just feel like that I feel like they're at this point where they need stuff still, right? Like, meaning to proceed. And they just don't have that. And that's where I feel like what we're seeing now going on is another road, another avenue to Daniel. Daniel, enjoy that court date on March 2nd. I know you're going to plead not guilty, dude, but you know what? Like I said, justice in every which way, shape, and form for females, for Jack and Lily, in my opinion. And, like I said, I just see it as an avenue being used, and see what comes of it as well. Like I said, perhaps it gets more things being said or talked about, or information coming forward. Who knows? Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, there's no way that there is only one victim of this kind of behavior from Daniel.
Right.
So in my last live and in this one, I implore anyone who was on the receiving end of this type of behavior from Daniel to go to the RCMP for Jack and Lily.
We see that happen too. Yeah. In lots of cases. When one person comes forward, then all of a sudden you'll see a slew of others coming forward to say about their experiences and that and stuff, or what happened to them. We see this all the time in cases. So just like you said, we'll see how it all transpires. And, we'll just be here to watch, wait and see. And, right? Yeah. Go ahead, Melissa, your turn.
So something in that news clip I noticed, and I noticed it several times now, but he says, we had our ups and downs like any other couple. And I go back to when he was on the DT show, and every time he'd say something that wasn't quite right, he'd go, right. Like, he tries to normalize things that are not normal in any way.
Yeah.
And as far as being a stalemate, I don't think it's necessarily a stalemate as much as they're just missing maybe one little piece of evidence. And let's be honest, the lack of evidence is evidence. And there's enough circumstantial evidence here that when this does go to trial, if it's a no-body trial, there's enough circumstantial evidence to pile it on a mile high. And in my opinion, they need to search a little more northeast of the home. But I think with this arrest, and this is just my opinion, but I kind of feel like this is kind of, not only the domino, but he's going to go to jail. He's going to get comfortable with his cellmate. He's going to start talking. He's going to reveal things. And yeah, we'll have to see what that is. But, jailhouse confessions are used a lot in the United States. I don't know about Canada, but I know in the United States, they're used a lot in court. So time will tell.
Daniel's type of person that would be like, let me take the stand. I want to speak for myself. And then you get charged.
He'd probably want to represent himself, actually.
100%.
Absolutely. and then he'll get charged with perjury. Daniel doesn't know what the word truth means. I mean, seriously, like I said, when you're not that type of personality, but you know the gist of those personalities, you truly wonder in their brain if they truly just like absolutely are so warped up here that they believe it themselves when they say it, or like, for instance, at this moment, right? Is Daniel like, you know what, these charges, I'm getting off of these because they don't prove nothing. I'm innocent of all this and blah, blah, blah. Like, is he that fucking warped? And yet watch him have a slew of evidence against him, come disclosure, and still Daniel, like, if when people are just that fucked up, right?
And pathological liars generally believe their own lies.
Liar. Hi, McMac. Oh.
10 Canadian dollars.
1 sec.
Awesome. Thank you. Daniel's a napkin and good for nothing liar. That's all he is. And hello, PPL.
Hi, McMac. And that's just it. Good for nothing liar. But, and that's like I said, the case is not funny when it comes to the victims. But looking at how Daniel and everything he's done, he's made a mockery and a joke. And the joke's going to be on Daniel. When this is all said and done, the joke's going to be back on you and whoever else, okay? Thing is, it's really hard in some ways, and you guys know this. I don't know exactly where Malehya's involvement knowledge. We do know that they have all claimed to have heard the kids that morning, right? I don't buy that for a second myself, but that's my own thoughts. I don't buy that for a second. I think that calling school, everything's an alibi, because it's 8:28. She calls her mom and you're hearing the kids. And then Daniel says like, I woke up, and went and looked like 20 minutes later, he says. Obviously not, right? But it's just all these inconsistencies that don't match up. I always keep wondering myself, like, Shannon, let me ask you and Melissa, do you believe for said victim, do you believe that the RCMP initiated these charges like because of information that they could put, or do you think that victim has offered up information, or do you think that they have it and that, what I'm trying to say, right?
I'm trying to think of how to word this without implicating the victim.
That's what I was just thinking.
I think it's hard.
I think that the victim is cooperating with the RCMP and provided the information. I think it took some time. Well,
I think I know what you're going to say there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? It's kind of hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the fact for Taylor. I'm going to speak for Taylor. Okay. Not that I'm saying she is the victim in this case, but what I will say is that she did speak to RCMP. We know she did. We know from text messages between the two that were provided that what he was like, what his behavior was like, his
Right.
manipulation, his tactics, his dirty talk, so to speak. So we can take that case and then blueprint
Multiply.
that on to other cases. Now imagine Taylor was new, like was only 44 days after Jack and Lily went missing, right? And that's what he was like with her right off the bat, kind of thing.
Crazy,
Imagine
right?
being with something like that for several years and what could have been encountered. Again, I think it's the tip of the iceberg. I think there are, unfortunately, several Taylors. I think Taylor was just the one to bring it to light, and I thank her for that, because despite what everyone tries to criticize her, if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't know what Daniel is like behind closed doors.
And that's absolutely.
So,
it's exactly what I've said to her as well. You know,
she's very brave.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's very brave. And it takes a lot, because she put her life at risk, and she risked her family and her relationship and her children, and paid a very hefty price for bringing us that information. So I give her a lot of praise and respect for coming forward and speaking to RCMP and bringing it to light what was really going on. Without her, we wouldn't know that Daniel's children were the ones that said that the kids were being abused. She has stated several things, including, she said that the dogs turned up at the trailer before Daniel got there, and then as soon as they left, Daniel left. So one of the only things I believe, because I believe, like Darren, Daniel has elements of truth that he drops into his stories. And when he said that he was 100% sure that no bodies would be found on his property or on the property, I believe that that's true, because he knows that they weren't on that property. He knows where they are, and they're not on that property. That's what I believe.
Yeah. And I do want, do you talk to Taylor as well?
I don't, but I followed her very closely through yourself. And
because I was gonna say she knows what she did was fucked up. Going back to Taylor, like I said, it's one of those things. You'd never catch me ever involving myself in no relationship with someone like a Daniel Martell and 2 missing children. She obviously did. We've had many conversations, and I talked to Taylor still. I just talked to her the other day, when I let her know about the the charges, and her first message was good, big exclamation mark. But the thing is that, so it's not denying that what Taylor did was absolutely fucked up to involve herself, but look at the reward, in a sense, that came out of it. And that's what I've said to her. Obviously she knows that she was trying, that she said her personality and Daniel's, that she could relate, because that was her personality and what she was doing, that living a destructive type of lifestyle on herself, right? She's doing fine, by the way, now. But like I told Taylor, look at the information that you were able to provide to the public. So although it might be a fucked up way about going about shit, it shed light. about like those messages that are from Daniel, like Shanann just said, about the abuse, about the R word and all that different stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I kept saying, like, don't think this was all for naught, like, because that's how she was feeling, right? And I was like, no, 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 no. Just think about the value of this information that the public now knows because of what you did. Even if it was something you wish you could take back and whatever, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. It happened. It happened. And, and so I always check in with Taylor and say, and I just talk to her again the other day. I always ask her how she's doing, I've asked her before, are you still talking with Daniel and stuff like that? And just to see how she's moving along, right? Because she's got a lot of issues to fix, as we well know, right? Because again, it's not a normal thing that people want to involve themselves with regardless. But yeah, I'm just very grateful that for anyone that's provided more insight, like even Tint with recording Wade. Thank you, Tint. Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't agree with his method, but ultimately he provided the tea.
Well, that's
I didn't like his brewing method, but ultimately
Well, I mean, just like Taylor's, I'm sure most people don't approve of that method, but you know what? It provided us with a lot more insight. And that's how all of us are ever trying to find out what happened to Jack and Lily. What was really going on in that household? We heard bits and pieces. So yeah. I'm just one of those things is that, like I said, might not be my personal way, whether it was the way Tint recorded and stuff like that. Honestly, I didn't care to judge on either of them, to be honest, because it was their whatever they wanted to do. But all I'm looking ever for is just the information to lead us to understand what happened to Jack and Lily. Because if we relied on the news, and sorry, news, but thank you for your information that you do get alone, if it wasn't for Daniel speaking and always telling on himself and stuff like that, or messaging me or talking in the different groups, or Janie, with her freaking 2-hour and 30-minute voice clips going on,
right?
It just gives us all insight. And and then it's easier to pick apart the inconsistencies. Because when the own words are being used, right? And especially when it comes to family, when their own words are being used against them for the truth of a timeline or stuff like that, or Taylor's giving us these videos and clips and different things, a shitload of them, Even I have never looked at all those messages that she sent me. I looked at the main ones, but God forsake, there was just hundreds and hundreds of messages. But I think everyone knows, and this is why I'm saying it, and I know we're not going to get into this again, but you got to be pretty fucked up to even support a person like Daniel based on his own words.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead. He was easy to, in the beginning, it was easy to fall for it. You know what I mean? Like he was, because Malehya had left.
Yep.
And he was the one advocating for the children. So in the first couple of interviews, I felt for the guy.
Yeah, same.
And that is our nature, right? Our nature is to want to help and feel bad and empathize, but then our inner radar went nee.
Well, that's just it.
red flag, alert. Things are not as they appear,
Well, right. Yeah.
So it was the gradual unveiling of inconsistencies, right, that were coming out. And obviously, when I first heard that the children went missing, I thought they're going to be found. They're going to be found later that afternoon, or, oh crap, they were out there all night, but they're going to find them the next day, and then they didn't find them that day. And I was like, oh God, that's not very good. And then when we found out that she had left, it was like, wow, you know, and there would have had to have been a reason, you know, and I kept, from that moment, I think is when I realized there's only so many reasons why a mother would leave, right? Safety, fear, because
Well, she took down all his pictures with right at like
oh yeah, and
the first
then
couple of
yes,
days.
so then not only did she leave, but then she completely cut him out of her life after that. So that was like, that to me, that was like, right, there's something wrong with this guy. Because you just wouldn't do that, would you? Unless you suspected that he had done something. That's what came to my mind, because that was the only way I could justify if it was me leaving and cutting him out.
You know, well, I was gonna say, and just quickly. Hey, Kelly, she already said so. She was trying. Okay, again, it's a fucked up thing for sure, right?
Oh, this is the one that's trying to figure out where I live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this one was the one that commented under Durwood saying she was this close to finding out where I live in Cape Breton.
What does that matter?
Well, this is for you, Kelly Dobson. Good luck to you.
Okay. Well, Kelly, I'm going to answer this question anyway. So, yeah, she already said that she was trying to get close to Daniel, could associate with him, and that was a lure. Because, right, her thing was to get close to Daniel and try to see if she could get information. Is it fucked up? Absolutely. Did it work? Absolutely. Right. So it's not like she's denying that, but it's not about painting someone as a hero. But we have gained a huge amount of information because of Taylor's action. So like it or not, regardless, you would never have had that knowledge about Daniel's two other kids, saying that, you know, out of Daniel's own words and stuff like that, right? So it's kind of one of those things. It's like, you know, I'm not going to sit there and knock down, like I wouldn't do it myself, right? It is fucked up. Most people would not do it. So the thing is that out of it came a bunch of information, you know, and so I understand that obviously Taylor is working on herself and stuff like that. But we would kind of be hypocrites if we literally acted like our lives were freaking perfect. We might not have done something this far. But, you know, like I said, I've talked to Taylor. She understands, like, you know, the place that she's at, that she's self-destructive and all that stuff, right? So it's not like she's hiding from it or nothing like that. She has said that she did that. But it's not about trying to paint somebody as a hero. But again, understanding still that the core root of most people is a lot of people that are insecure, hurt, do fucked up things for fucked up reasons. And then there's someone like Daniel who's very fucked up, obviously. But then that, you know, Daniel's all about control, you know, hurting in a sense, obviously. He's fucked up. That's a different type of fucked up in a sense. But yet both of them obviously have issues. Malehya has issues. Most people have issues, never to this level, though. But anyways, she is unstable and proved that she was a liar. Well, again, you can look at it that way all you want. That's perfectly fine. But guess what? The proof was still in the pudding of Daniel's own words against himself, because she supplied us with a vast amount of knowledge. You have no actually idea, Kelly, just how valuable the information was that she has for another part of the case. So just going to say that to that one. So however you want to look at it, go right ahead. That's fine. I look at it as like, you know what? Yeah, she did a fucked up thing. She understands that, and she's working to better her life, you know, for herself and her kids, obviously. Go ahead. My poor Melissa's down there going, guys, I'm here. I'm here.
I'm about to fall asleep over here. What you talking
Shut up over there. Yeah, you got a snowplow, or did you pay him and come
Yeah.
back and yeah.
Yeah, I paid him, and they even got the snow off like one part of my yard so that my dog can go fully down in the yard and not just outside on the porch. So,
and plus that gave you time to have a smoke even.
I know.
Or three even. Yeah. So go ahead.
As far as the victim, whether or not that person is offering information, I do believe that they are, whether that be through verbal or pictures or possibly old text messages even. I do believe that the victim is able to corroborate what the RCMP is saying. Now, as far as Taylor intent, do I agree with their methods? No, not really. However, the information that they have brought from those encounters, let's call it, I think are valuable to this case, because we wouldn't know for a fact the information that we know now if it wasn't for people doing that.
Exactly.
And you always want to try to believe the family until they prove to you that you can't trust them, until they prove to you that they're liars. Janie Martell. Sorry, I had a cough there. I don't know what was in my throat. But I mean, as much as I tried to give Daniel the benefit of the doubt at the beginning, the more he opened his mouth, the worse things got.
Yeah.
The more he opened his mouth, the more contradictions I was coming up with. And it's like, at that point, you know, how many times does a family have to lie to you before you go, yeah, I really can't trust you anymore? You know, you give them the benefit of the doubt until they prove to you that they can't. When somebody shows you who they truly are, believe them. And
absolutely.
Daniel has shown us through these messages to Taylor and through his own lies and his own actions who he is, along with some other people, in my opinion. And, you know, whether or not these charges themselves have exactly to do with the Jack and Lily missing, no. But what will these charges lead to? What information will we get out of these charges? You know, well, I want to lighten my sentence, so I'm going to start talking. It happens a lot, you know, and that's just what it is. And the first one to talk gets a deal. How do we know that Malehya isn't already talking? You know, they could be investigating this and gathering the information that they need to lay charges, and we just don't know about it because Canada, you guys are weird with your privacy. You won't let us in. Unlike with the United States, we can find out pretty much whatever we want to know to an extent. I mean, they're not going to lay the case out for us, no, but we're privy to a lot more information in the United States than in
definitely Canada. Are 100% definitely you are. All this stuff, we'd be showing documents of everything because they would be readily available for the public. We would be seeing 911 calls for the most part. They'd be ready available to the public. You know, it's quite the huge difference. But, you know, obviously we have to respect our own laws over here and stuff like that. You know, that's where in doo-doo.
I understand that as an American, I could release those documents. I understand that I could do it. I could have the victim's name on it. I could have the one condition unredacted. But out of respect for the victim, because I have a little bit of integrity, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I get that I could because I'm not bound by your laws. But you have to have some sort of integrity when you work in true crime. And you have to have a spot where you draw a line and you say, I don't go past this. And releasing victims' information is something I'm not willing to do. automatically attacking a family is not something I'm willing to do. I mean, if a family can prove to me that they can't be trusted, well, then that's a different story. We have receipts on why we don't trust Daniel. We have receipts on why we don't trust Malehya. They've proven to us time and time again that they can't be trusted. And common sense tells us a lot more than Daniel wants us to know, in my opinion.
Sorry, my music's going off in the background. 1 second. Alexa just gifted 5 memberships. So for anyone that's in chat right now, make sure you give her love. Kim French, Belynda Believes, Danielle, Daphne's Case Files, and Ches all received a membership from Alexa. Can you believe that troll a freaking Daphne got one?
She's going around the chats trying to screenshot Kelly Dobson for me.
She said I was amazing. So
she is. That's it's so reminiscent. It's almost like Ron Mexico, because they come and slag me off and then go and kiss everyone else's arse. And no, I am not worried about any legal peril, because I have it on very good authority that we have the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and we have freedom of speech here, and I'm able to criticize and voice my opinion with regards to the people in this case, and anyone else who inserts themselves in it as well. However, trying to intimidate people by finding their address and tracking them down is actually called stalking, which is illegal. So I would tread very carefully if I was you, Kelly Dobson, and anyone else who happens to be stalking anyone else. Just gonna say.
My thing.
You're muted, Sunny.
Yeah, I was just unmuting it. I'm thinking if the music's gonna go off again. Hey, Daft Troll, you got a membership, you lucky ducky, from Alexa right above you. I like that. What I say to all that stuff, right, is it's a case. And that's what it is. It's a case. People can go way too far with things, for sure. I've seen it, this case, other cases, and stuff like that. Always remember that it's a case, and purposely trying to dox or stuff like that, or get information, or sending nasty messages to somebody's Facebook. Like you won't catch me ever doing stuff like that. I'm not that invested. Like, I'm invested in the case, but then there's people that do cross lines. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's a case, right? And all I can say is there's, in many cases, people take things too far, and there's no need of it. Like, meaning, why like, it's a case about Jack and Lily. They're people that we should only be paying attention to, for the most part, is, the family members that are speaking out, the RCMP and the news. People want to pay attention to Facebook and the groups. Absolutely. Go right ahead. Absolutely. But just keep the balance of sanity along the way of these, because I do see it in cases. What you laughing? It looks like you're laughing over there. What's going on? But Biddy. I don't, right? I said to my husband quickly yesterday, "You want some Biddy?" And he's like, "What?" And he's like, I said, "Do you want some Biddy?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, forget it. I don't know what you're saying. And I'm like, "Well, you're British. Like, don't you know what Biddy is or whatever?" And he's like, and then I told him about the clip, right? The comedy clip. And I said, "Remember David from like X Factor and like you're British? I think he's what's it called? Small Town
Britain.
England." Yeah, or
Little Britain.
Yeah, Little Britain. That's it. And he's just like, "Oh yeah, that stuff's from like Little Britain." I said, "Well, do you remember the part where we were making fun of Daniel, to be honest with you, about hanging off of his mama's boobie?" And Shanann here said, "If you don't know what Biddy is at all I was thinking was itty bitty, teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini type of thing." So she sends over this clip. And
I feel like we should show it.
No, because you're saying
show it. Oh,
No.
wait, we can't. Never
No, 'cause
mind.
I don't want a copyright strike or
Oh
something.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. But
Well,
anyway,
get struck for another thing too.
yeah, that was funny as shit though. And so, I mean, my husband. Okay, this is totally off topic, but my husband totally is a Biddy fan for sure. And when I was watching that, right, we were making fun of Daniel, like I said, off of his mummy's boobie, type of thing. And during that clip, it's like she's walking around and says, here's your egg. And then she says to the female sitting at the table, do you want some more toast? And then looks at, I know what's his name in the clip, I'm not sure, but that what David's, whatever his real name is, David something. So funny. Remember from X Factor? But anyways,
Yeah.
that guy's funny. And then he's like, I want some, he goes, I want Biddy or something like that. And then all of a sudden in that clip, he's like freaking starts sucking, on the wife's boobie or whatever. Biddy.
I don't have enough milk in my cereal.
And then, oh my God, it was funny as ever. But that's how I kind of, I know, like, so that's kind of almost how I picture, like, just my own opinion, but it's kind of like how I picture Daniel right now going, mommy, Biddy, mommy.
Yep.
And you guys all know Janie's clip on the interview she did, right? I mean, it wasn't hard to see that those things were hanging like freaking bellows down to the waist, pretty much, right? So all I was doing was cracking up, laughing, thinking about Daniel.
Careful now, Sonny. You don't want to get done for libel or slander now.
No, yeah, allegedly.
Careful. And for the record,
Not slander if it's true.
That's exactly it. And again, luckily in Canada, we have the Charter of Rights and Freedoms to speak our opinions on things. So,
yeah, well, my opinion in as I was thinking of Daniel and Janie as I was watching that clip.
He is a mama's boy.
But that's kind of just so, like, honestly, how I see him at the moment, like, in a sense, meaning that these are serious charges, okay, against Daniel that are going on. And I think that he shit his bricks when he had these charges against him.
Now, what are the chances in Canada that you guys would be more apt to answer this than me, that they say, okay, we will drop the criminal confinement and the assault charge if you plead to the SA or whatever, in some sort of combination of that? Do you guys do that there? I know we do it here, but
do what? Sorry, Melissa?
Where they'll say, okay, if you plead to one of these charges, if you accept guilt for, say, the SA, we will drop the assault and the criminal confinement charge like they never existed. Just plead to this one. And generally, it's one of the more serious ones. Is that something you guys do a lot in Canada? I know we do it a lot in the US. You may be charged with 10 things and only plead guilty to 1 or 2.
Could very well happen. Well, we'll just have to wait till March 2nd and see really what comes out of this all. But absolutely, obviously in the States we see it all the time because you guys are so much bigger. Damn. Wait, what? Just sorry, I'm seeing someone. 1 sec. I just want to see what this message says. Some people are saying Daniel Martell arrest on Monday, January 29th for assault. Wait, what? I don't even know.
Is it true that Cyndi did an interview? Is it true that Cyndi did an interview?
Yeah. I'll be right back, but yeah. But it's not out yet.
I look forward to seeing that.
But give me a minute, I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure.
I'm with you on that, Shanna. I look forward to seeing what Cyndi has to say because Malehya's side of the family has been quiet pretty much essentially for 9 months, except for a couple of times. And
Yeah, in
that just
public.
doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, I really do think that Malehya has been cooperating with the RCMP. I do think that. There was a couple of things that led me to believe that they trust her in a sense that when the first thing that gave me that inclination was when Please Bring Me Home were doing their search. They found items of clothing, right? And they just simply had to make a phone call, and within less than 5 minutes, they were told not relevant.
Yeah.
So do
I
you
agree
think?
with you there.
Yeah, I don't think they were asking Daniel.
No. But, you know, in a way, I wonder, let's hypothetically hear that Malehya is working with the RCMP. Do you think she's being fully honest as to everything that happened that night as well? Because I feel like, I don't know, my gut is telling me yes.
I think it took her a while to get the courage to do so. But I think that once she felt supported, that she did. I don't think the first interview may have gone the way it should have, but I think that subsequently other interviews, once she felt comfortable and safe, um, she did. And I think another reason why I believe that she is cooperating and that she believes that Daniel has done something to the children is in the documents under an area that was unredacted. It was a huge section of redacted, and then there was one bit that was unredacted that says Daniel's dad Earl owns 100 acres in Barney's River. And I thought to myself, well, that's strange. Why would that be even discussed?
Yes, there were a couple things in the documents. I was like, why is that relevant? Why is that something that's even being said when it comes to the fact that Jack and Lily are missing? And, you know, they're what matter in all of this. Nothing else, none of the drama, none of that matters, just finding Jack and Lily.
Exactly. And that's why I think I get so upset, and I know I get defensive, but it's like, why do people want to know where I live and what I'm doing when I'm out here trying to find answers for Jack and Lily? Every bit of information that I get that's regarding possible locations or information about Jack and Lily, I communicate with the RCMP and I give it to them. You know, I don't expect anything in return. So I don't understand why people would want to come after someone who's trying to find answers and justice for two missing children. It doesn't make sense to me.
Right. And I think Malehya being in the hospital also helped her possibly feel safe enough that she's opening up more.
Possibly. Yeah. Possibly. You know, like at the end of the day, again, we want answers for this. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And we've talked about this throughout the entire case of if Malehya's working with RCMP, if she's not, and stuff like that, and so I would like to think that for Jack and Lily, and the sake of truth coming out, that whatever she has or whatever, information or any information that anyone has that has knowledge about this, but obviously that they come forward and, get the answers for Jack and Lily.
Yeah. I mean, when I go to the documents, like, what do you think about that, Sunny? In the documents where it's unredacted, where it says, like, it's redacted, a huge, big chunk of black redacted. Right. And then underneath it, it says, Malehya stated that Daniel's father, Earl, owns 100 acres in Barney's River. To
Right.
me, I was thinking above that might say something, and I'm speculating, along the lines of, if you were Daniel and you did something to the children, where would you have put them? Where do you think he could have put them if they weren't within the search area that we covered? What areas would he know about that were secluded
Right.
and private?
What
And then,
areas are frequented?
Yeah.
yes,
I mean, but the Barney's River we've talked about for quite a while when we knew that before it was showing in the documents or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Definitely, I would believe that that would be a point of interest to look for Jack and Lily.
yeah.
You know, especially, you know, and if it is underneath Malehya's, it's underneath Malehya's stuff, is it? Or is
It
it
just says the Malehya states
Oh,
that.
okay. Okay.
So I don't know what's above it
Okay.
because it's all
But,
blacked
but
out.
yeah, but right. That definitely would be that oddity of, well, okay, why is she stating this? You know, and like I said, I would love to know what exact, like, I still believe that the three people on the property, like, have regardless started off with lying. For whatever, I think that if that's the case, in my opinion, then Janie's of course lying for her son because it's the son. And with Malehya, whatever her reasons, for instance, of whether and I'm just saying this, like if Daniel is maybe threatening her, like you're gonna go down for this, you're never gonna see Meadow, and all this stuff, and you just wonder, what truly with Malehya. Daniel's transparent as glass, but with Malehya, like, because they all would have had to me have lied at the start, regardless, at least in my opinion. Now,
Yeah.
at this point of the time usually will bring answers. As for the Barney thing, absolutely, that would be a definite point of interest. And if Malehya is stating that like that, Malehya states that, obviously, to me, is that like a hint? Like, go check out over the property here. But I would like to think that as time has gone by, people, if they have involvement or knowledge, that maybe we're at a point where it's the truth is unraveling. Pretty star, hi all New Year. You hear that, Shanann? Yeah.
Hi for all you do.
Meet Melissa, Charmaine, Justin. No.
You are the OG.
For me, obviously being from Canada, I didn't know of Shanann up until Daphne's channel and stuff like that. Melissa obviously goes back with whatever. So appreciate those kind words. I'll try not to let it go to my head. No,
Somebody the other day, I think it was in Shan's chat, and they said, well, we need somebody to go camp outside the courthouse in Nova Scotia. And I was like, nope, I did that for Delphi. I'm not doing that again. I learned my lesson.
Yeah. Shanann, do you plan on being at the courthouse on March 2nd?
I may. But in light of what people, the kind of intimidation I'm getting from people, I'm
Right.
not sure if I will, because I don't want to be followed home or something, so
Yeah, I
there
get
are
it.
some pretty friggin' crazy people out there in Pictou County, and but hey, maybe I'll hitch a ride. Maybe I'll hitch a ride with the RCMP.
Well, there's a lot of and then that's just it. Like, honestly, you guys, and it's not just this case. People just go way too far, and I don't understand that type of level. Like, meaning, I understand people get imbalanced by cases. I've done it with the Suzanne Morphew case, even somewhat with Jack and Lily's case, but always a reminder from the Suzanne Morphew case. But I think of like Summer Wells case and stuff like that, or even Sebastian Rogers. Like there was a group that was searching for Sebastian Rogers, and by all the different threats and different stuff, they ended up basically like, peace, we're out, and taking away from like people that are just trying to help and assist, in a sense, or bringing awareness. Shannon again. Thanks, Shannon. That are just, really just trying to help bring information to the public. And that's what, like, yeah, we have our speculation and thoughts and stuff like that, but when it comes to the facts and the case and bringing awareness and stuff like that, like I said, people keep trying to tear me down even when I'm not doing lives. And honestly, like, I ignore it because it just means no different in my life. But I also don't live in, say, this area, Pictou County here, where people do fucked up things, like, or take things too far. So the reality, meaning that the reality, Shanann, is there, right? Is that people become obsessed with cases and stuff like that. And in my head, I'm just like, it's a case. There's tons of cases out there, but it's a case. And for people to become so obsessed, that they take it to the crossing lines, in a sense, that I don't understand, because that's not a normal mentality to have.
Well, not only do you have the public doing that crap, but, a lot of times you have YouTubers who will come say stuff or, do things. And it's like, can we not just all work together? The main goal shouldn't be, well, I have more subs than you, or I have more views than you, or whatever. It should be about whoever the case is about. So in this case, it's Jack and Lily, and that needs to be the focus, not who's doing what and who said what first. And, well, that came from me and you need to give me credit. And it's just a bunch of crap. And the personal attacks that come along with it are just ridiculous.
Thanks, Tom Lou. You're awesome. Thank you.
I think
This is me feels like I see light from the end of that tunnel.
Well, again, I'll say this like I said at the beginning. You're right. I know it's hard to wait for things. Everyone wants answers for Jack and Lily. But you just have to really just trust the process. It's going to be the RCMP that are going to be the ones to bring the answers to fruition at some point. We can have as much knowledge and insight into Daniel Martell, Malehya's, Janie's, all these different people and stuff like that. But we have to trust the process that that they're doing their job. They're working hard to find the answer. And I believe that. I absolutely believe that. But I also believe that they're up against different circumstances of a rural area and digital data and all that stuff working against them versus somewhere that's got tons of freaking cameras and Ring doorbell cameras, two different things. I think that's kind of what I feel like. To me, that's what they're up against.
I definitely agree with the digital data because, unlike with like Sebastian's case where we have a lot of the digital data to back things
still don't know
up,
what happened. Yeah.
We don't in this case, and mostly because it's a rural area.
Hi, Belynda. Absolutely. Daniel and Janie have both claimed that they've left their phones at home. Well, we know that Janie said she didn't grab hers up until the police came, which was bullshit because she was already on the phone talking with her brother at 10:18, I believe it was. And the police didn't arrive till 10:27. And Daniel, just the lies about that. Those are Haley's keys in the picture. Right. As if Haley wouldn't have known her own keys in that picture, Daniel. Just I don't know. Just all the different BS. Belynda's in the house, guys.
Hi, Belynda.
Mm-hmm. And Tom
Thinking
Lee,
of
thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I know that with Belynda, right? Bottom line is, no matter how we get there or who's doing what, it's to get to the truth for answers for Jack and Lily, right?
And Melinda doesn't, this is going to come out wrong. It's not that she doesn't care. She just wants to know one way or another, whether they're alive or they're not. She just wants them home, and that's it. And she focuses on Jack and Lily, and she keeps the focus on them, and she keeps Jack and Lily's name out there.
Yeah.
And I got to give her props for doing that.
Well,
Much love to
absolutely.
her.
Like I said, Daniel pissed her off, saying he was the only one searching, taking all the credit. Like I said, everything has their timing and has their reasons and stuff like that, and like I said, Belynda will always have my heart. She's a beautiful lady with a beautiful heart. No matter what anyone says, she's fighting the fight for Jack and Lily. And Cheryl, sorry, my bad, Cheryl. I didn't see your super sticker there. My bad. I must have been at the bathroom. Sorry, I just caught my eye on that one. Sorry, Cheryl. But like I said, God love her for everything that she's going through physically, mentally, all that stuff going on. It's, it's a lot.
The anguish of not knowing is likely very unbearable for her. And she's the reason I do lives, is to try to just keep their names out there and the pressure on. Not that the RCMP, I don't think they need the pressure, to be honest with you. I think they feel it. I think they feel it every day. The fact that Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon said that he has many sleepless nights, I can just imagine what they go through and the pressure that they're under to solve the case too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They they have children. They've been doing this job for for their whole lives. They the chief superintendent said that it was the rarest case. He'd never seen anything like it in his 35-year career. So this is and I know I've said this and it kind of sounds cliche, but Jack and Lily have become like our godchildren, we've all taken them under our wing, as
they're our little nieces and nephews. They're everybody's nieces and nephews now.
And I maybe am one of those people that's obsessed with the case, because I do. I wake up every day thinking, is there going to be some answers today? Is something going to happen? Is someone going to talk? Is, where are they? Where are they? Where are they? All the time, because it's a fundamental wrong. As someone who lives here in Nova Scotia with children, I do not accept that 2 children disappear.
No, absolutely.
2 children do not vanish into thin air. They just don't.
I refuse to accept that. I will not rest until there's answers. I just can't, because as a mother, I just can't accept it. Everything that has been said and shown to me thus far shows me that something terrible happened at 1407 Gairloch Road. And we need answers, and we need accountability, and we need to fix whatever led to their disappearance so that it never happens again. And there is a lot of accountability that needs to be taken by a lot of different agencies. And but predominantly the first people that need to be held accountable are the fucking adults at 1407 Gairloch Road.
I agree. And I think I felt this with the Sebastian case, and I feel it with Jack and Lily. CPS really let these kids down. They fell through the cracks, and it's just uncalled for to have to say that at all.
Yeah. 9 months later, Where are they?
I
Like-
went through it for a week, not knowing where my child was. I could not imagine having to go through that pain for months on end, or in Seth's case, almost 2 years now. No, thank you.
It's the worst pain. It's the worst thing you could ever bestow on somebody is not knowing. 1 second. 1 second. I desert you guys in a sec, especially for dessert. Little Miss Muffin Top, thank you very much. Bonnie the Hustler, House Music, Truth Teller, and Tiffany received a gifted membership. Thank you guys. And Alexa had done some earlier. I gifted 10 from the channel at the start of the live and stuff like that. 1 sec. Okay, 1 second. Sorry. Freaking mouse is being laggy. 1 second here. Somebody else, I think it was Black Bear, Little Black Bear, I believe, gifted a membership as well. Yeah, right here. So just thank you guys for doing that, paying it forward. Cheryl, thank you for your $2.79 super sticker. I missed it, but I seen it up in the top all of a sudden there. I keep forgetting that you're 4 hours difference there, Shanann. And Melissa's like 3 hours difference. If you guys need to hike it, just let me know.
We're keeping Shan up past her bedtime.
Yeah, but
I was
yeah,
up late last night.
you haven't had any sleep.
No, I've had sleep, but I
Oh.
got up. I went to bed late. It was like 1:30 in the morning when I finally fell asleep. And then I was up early going to look at apartments with my eldest.
Oh,
So, yeah. But, you know, it's got to
Yeah, yeah.
happen.
yeah.
We've got a comment here in my chat, which is funny. The answer lies with the neighbors who
Oh, sorry.
saw
Did I take it down? Did I take it down, or did you
Oh,
have it up?
maybe.
Sorry.
I'm gonna remove it though. The answer lies with the neighbors who saw and heard the loud car at Jack and Lily's house in the middle of the night.
Bullshit.
Huh.
That neighbor has come out. Both of those neighbors came out in the very beginning, told what they knew. Their stories have been steady. The neighbors didn't do this.
Well, I was gonna say you're right. I mean, obviously, if that person want to come to that conclusion, you know, so be it. Nothing has shown that whatsoever at all. But hey, you know what? It's one of those things is that I get people have their differences of opinions and they can, even if I feel like they're like whacked out of it. But you know, to think for me personally, I think that that Sundance Justin there had anything, or Brad Wong had anything to do with the children's disappearance. Yeah, I mean, at what point did we see that in doc? You know, like anything to even an inclination to that at all? Like it's just common sense.
They've clarified, which is why it's so important to clarify, because words are so open to interpretation. They said that they're witnesses, and not that they're responsible.
Yeah,
so
I can agree with that.
It's just logically when you're looking at this case, why is the stepfather lying? Why? During two missing children. Why is he deflecting? Why is he inconsistent? Why is he always blaming Malehya? Well, he's this God, you know, God sent from earth pretty much to us, as he's searching for. Oh, that was one thing I was going to say quickly. I remember Taylor saying that not once when they were in the woods, meaning Daniel and Taylor, did he ever suggest searching for Jack and Lily? You know, anything about it? Out of all the times she said, and there was multiple, she said not once did he say, you know what, you know, like while we're out here, let's go search for Jack and Lily. Again, I think that the answers are perfectly in his brain of knowledge on there. Look at all you people gifting memberships. My goodness. Janzi, thank you.
Don't look for something that you know where it's at.
You know, yeah. Music's gonna blast here. So 1 second. All these wonderful people that are giving memberships today. You guys are going crazy with them. Thank you. Turf, Kay, Angela, or Angels, and Deborah Dixon and Addie V. Yeah, I appreciate that. I know it's been a minute since I've done a live. Probably won't see me till next week as well, because I'm on night shifts and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm gonna have music play. So you guys, you two, if you just want to say whatever you want to say at this point, I'll just gonna mute myself. Unless
You
have
go
nothing.
American Justice, because I feel like I've spoken quite a bit.
Oh no, I mean, I've kind of said what I want to say. I mean, there's not much else to say. Hopefully this will knock a little more things loose, and hopefully a little more truth will come out, whether that be a plea deal or, you know, somebody talking to a cellmate. But either
Yeah.
way, we need to focus on Jack and Lily and finding out where they are and bringing them home, no matter what the outcome of that is. If they're alive, they need to be home with Belynda where they're loved. If they're not, they need to be home so we can put them to rest properly, and so that the healing process from the grief can begin.
Yes. I think Nova's inquest and I did, we're covering another local case of Kevin Martin. He was a 13-year-old boy who disappeared from Stellarton, not far from Lansdowne Station in 1994. And he was found murdered and buried in Burnside, about 25 kilometers, I guess, southwest of Lansdowne, in a wooded area. He was found by loggers. There's a couple of theories, well, 3 theories mainly. And one of the people that were looked at as responsible for his disappearance and murder was a local high school teacher who was also a Sunday school teacher. He coached basketball. He did all the things. And it later came out that he was a prolific chomo. And so he was looked at as the culprit because he used to lure in young boys with marijuana and alcohol. And he got charged with all sorts of things, including possession and distribution of marijuana. I think it was like contributing to the delinquency of a minor, SA and all those things. But he pled guilty to the lesser charge of possession of or trafficking of the marijuana and ended up doing 2 years. But then when that happened, they were able to then build up. While he was in jail for that, people broke into his house and found a treasure trove of other things, and then he was able to get charged for that.
Yeah.
But
I want to go back just to something for a sec. Yes, Cindy did an interview. It's not out yet. You won't see her visually, like her face, okay, when it does come out. But I know typically, with certain news outlets, it's kind of like with Belynda's too, right? It didn't come out right away, comes out later, and it's kind of packed together with the other things and stuff like that. But it will be very interesting now when it does come out now. It might not come out for a week or 2 weeks still. But it will be very interesting to definitely hear what Cyndi has to say on this interview. What was I going to say? Anyways, just because you had asked about that before.
Yeah, I hope she squashes some of the rumors, once and for all.
Yeah, I'll be very we haven't heard from Cyndi publicly at all. So it would be, again, I just am always watching, seeing what's going on, knowing full well that it's going to play out, different things are going to play out how they play out. The most important thing is always keeping Jack and Lily, their names out there, talking about them. That's the most important thing for the victims and for family members, that they want, right? That they don't want to be forgotten in the muddle of things and stuff like that. I was going to say something like, what was I going to say? So it's let me just put it this way. It's not unknown in cases for charges to come, again, a certain way, for the means to the end, in a sense. Meaning other cases, they do that too, right? They know that, say, maybe somebody did something in a case and they have other charges to hold them against, or charge them with as, a means, which they do. I was just watching a case, or I watch a lot of these 20-30 minute cases, in the interrogation rooms, or they're showing the case and, they don't have them on this charge, but they can put them on this charge. And that's kind of what I see kind of going on in this situation myself. And again, as for victim for charges, Kelly, for what American justice thinks and stuff like that, again, for the actual charges, the name was not released. Obviously, they said adult. That's of course because that's Canadian privacy. The court put a ban on the name being said. Okay, so again, to respect that part of it, even if you feel like you already know who it is, 2 + 2. It's a matter of when it comes to the charges and the victim, it has to be said as victim for these charges. Even though it's kind of weird because we already know what the documents have said and all that stuff, but it's not, I don't think it's really hard to put the pieces together on this one for sure. Okay. The wife, deep breaths. Not sure. Okay, so you guys ready to wrap?
Yeah,
I'm ready to go.
Oh. What's that?
After he starts 22 super chat, £5.
Hey, Mary.
Awesome. Thank you. Subs up, but won't let me comment. Is there a time limit?
Oh.
I can be patient if so.
Sorry. Pretty Star, if you're new, the reason why you can't comment is because I do have a 4-hour. When it comes to certain things, again, right? The reason I do stuff like that is because the people that are already sub to the channel, that follow the channel because they're sub to it, I want them to be able to speak and chat and have the voices. So for in this case, what I want to talk about, so because like these people are already subscribed, I just want them. I don't just want a bunch of randoms coming in after 5 minutes and then flooding the chat with stuff. That's why you can't do a posting right now, just so you know. I've said that, but won't let me comment. Is there a time limit? So yeah. So usually I don't, like, sometimes I'll leave it as 5 minutes and whatever. It just depends on what is being talked about. And if I feel like that the subscribers, have their room to talk versus other people flooding in that don't typically follow the channel, and they're just coming in, and then they can fill up the chat with, a bunch of stuff versus the people that are subscribed. So that's why it's 4 hours today. That's why you can't make a comment, just so you know. Okay. That's just kind of how I roll and do things. It's always, what I feel is best. And in this case, because I haven't done a live in a while, and you guys were going to be on and stuff like that, just wanted, the people that are subscribed to be able to come into this channel. It doesn't mean you can't go over to Shenan's or American Justice channel. By the way, you guys can sub up over there. Melissa, quickly with yours. So Pretty Star, thank you so much for the $5 pound. Is that pound or is that euro? I think that's pound.
Pound, yeah.
Yeah, make sure I got that right. Melissa, how many subs are you at right now, you said?
Oh, heck, I don't know. Let me refresh here.
Well, I was going to say, I had dropped the links earlier, but
461 right now.
461. Can you do me a favor, Melissa? Can you drop yours and Shenan's channel in the chat here? Because it's normally before the stream.
Let me grab Shan's and hold on.
I like I said, I put it in the start, but help Melissa out, guys. American Justice. She's been doing a lot more lives lately and stuff like that, especially in Jack and Lily's case. It's always great to have more channels pop up that are speaking about Jack and Lily. Again, the more the merrier when it comes to that. Especially, like I said, it truly, the families appreciate it regardless that they're being spoken about and that their case is out there and different thoughts, different stuff like that. Shenan, is there anything you wanted to say? Like about anything, your channel, when you're doing your next live, anything you want.
I mean, obviously, if you want to come and join my channel, like and subscribe my channel, that's great. But I think we all share a lot of content as it is. Like, I think I recognize everyone on here. So there's a core group of people that really are following this case very closely. I think my last count was there was like 300 to 400 regulars that are in all of these in all of our channels that watch regularly for any update at all. And I think that I just think that's really great because as much information as we can get out. And that's why it is great that we work together and share information and pass on relevant information. And I guess I would remind everyone as well that anything that happens in our channels that we feel is relevant to go to the RCMP, that's not a waste of time, that isn't, just misinformation or whatever, does get passed on. So don't feel that you need to bombard them with information from comments and stuff like that that you might see in the chat, unless of course it points directly to the location of Jack and Lily.
Because none of us are shy about passing on information that we find relevant.
Yes. What gets frustrating probably for the RCMP is if Sunny does it and I do it and AJ do it, but then 1,000 people from the chat do as well. So whatever you're seeing or whatever we speak about, just be rest assured that the RCMP know about it already. So
yeah. And I do want to say that to you guys too. Obviously I've said this before, there's a core group of creators that we talk about things, we share things, and which has been a pleasure because whether it's Charmaine, Duff, myself, or whoever, Shanann, American Justice, works on documents, information and stuff like that. We're all there for that right reason of wanting answers for Jack and Lily. Personally, if I have something to share and somebody wants it and I have it type of thing, I have no problem with people using the content as long as it's done for the reasons in a good way for Jack and Lily. Playing any of clips that you guys want to play with Derwood, anybody and stuff, go on, whatever. Because again, the reason is simple. It's answers for Jack and Lily. And the more we understand and the more information we have, the more we get, like I said, if I can't share it, I can't share it. If I can, I will. Absolutely. Right. But I want to thank you guys. Justin, Charmaine, Nova, Daphne, Troll, Shanann, and Melissa. Again, pleasure with all you guys. Just trying to find answers for Jack and Lily. I'm covering it when I can do it. But obviously I've pulled back a bit because I got out my other things going on too. Like me and my husband keep having a little date night on Fridays now, stuff like that. And, which is nice. Go for dinner, went out for dinner and stuff like that. But there's just a bunch of other stuff, eh? But that's why it's nice to see too that there's other content creators. But obviously if something major happens and stuff like that, again, I'll do a live.
Sunny, hold on.
Yeah.
Kelly, you're in Sunny's chat. You can back off of the wife or be gone. That is your only warning.
Yeah, I haven't I can obviously see what Kelly's saying and stuff like that. I don't mind people having opinions, but I don't want people being ignorant to each other and stuff like that. And so I haven't blocked anybody myself coming into this, but it's kind of like just, again, attacks on creators or people and stuff like that. We're talking about a case of 2 missing children, and that's the most important thing to talk about, even if people have differences of opinions or that they're Daniel lovers and supporters and stuff like that. So be it. It's your right.
She can support Daniel from the timeout room.
Who?
Not you, Kelly Thompson. Kelly, whatever her name is.
Dobson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've seen a few comments. You put her in comment?
I don't know why she feels it necessary to make comments to the boss man and the wife about their dog that passed away. It's just this is the kind of thing, like the deflection and the misdirection that this woman puts out there, or if it's even a woman, I don't know. What
was it?
She was making at one point comments about an animal, but she got to the point that she was actually calling boss man's wife names, and that's what got her taken out. When I have to watch boss man and his wife both get extremely defensive, that's enough for me to make you go.
Okay.
Yeah, she's very close to the family and Darren Geddes. I don't know who she is, but it's not a real name. But she's constantly trying to intimidate me and scare me into thinking that I'm going to be sued, or that people are affiliated with other people.
Yeah, we don't need that crap.
And this is the kind of crap that we have to deal with, and that is just unnecessary. It doesn't do anything for finding Jack and Lily. And people need to focus on finding Jack and Lily, not finding your address or my address or any of that crap.
Yeah. And Shannon, if you notice, I gave you a wrench, by the way. Again, if people get out of hand or get ignorant and stuff like that, again, you don't need to be in this channel at all, to be honest with you. because like I said, we're not here to try to sit there and attack people. We're just trying to find answers for Jack and Lily. People can try to deter and, put out videos. And I just don't understand that kind of mentality of thinking, right? About two children that are missing, and people just want to try to shut you up or stop you or, do ridiculous things. I don't understand that type of mentality at all, because that's
Yeah.
too much of a sick and twisted mentality for all that
It
shit.
is.
So I didn't see all the conversations going on. I just saw mostly people saying, Kelly, stop or shut up. But I didn't see any. I didn't notice the ones to the wife. I didn't even actually know the wife was in here, to be honest.
She was
I
out of
didn't even know.
pocket and she got dealt with.
That's fine. That's fine. Because at the end of the day, it's like, no sucking up to Sunny in no which way, shape, or form. It's either be here respectfully or fuck off. As simple as that. Or get out of here. Don't have the time. Yeah, don't have the time of day for that.
I mean, we're only here for Jack and Lily and to get the truth out and to get as much factual information that we can get and come up with out and show the inaccuracies and the inconsistencies and the blatant lies at some points out. And people need to focus a whole lot less on the neighbors and focus on the three people that were on the fucking property to begin with, that were tasked with keeping those two beautiful children, Jack and Lily, safe.
We just need to look to the property. That's where we need to look. The property, not to the
Occam's
neighbors.
razor, right? It's
Occam's
not.
razor.
It is not Brad Wong's dogs that did something to Jack and Lily. It is somebody.
Did somebody
at
say that?
14. That's what this whole narrative is about, is to insinuate. That's what she was saying in there. What happened to your dog, Lucifer? Basically, in a nutshell, trying to say that they got rid of the dog because the dog got rid of Jack and Lily. That is actually what they're saying. It is the whole Ron Mexico narrative, but only through the mouth of Kelly Dobson. It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Like, what kind of people on this earth think that
People that
dog
are
got
trying
rid
to
of Jack and Lily? Like, are you
Right.
actually kidding me?
I mean,
Right.
I understand people saying, oh, well, maybe a bear got the kids because you have bears in the area. But a bear is not going to eat all the clothing. A bear is not going to eat the pull-up. A bear is not going to eat the wellies. A bear is not going to eat everything. And on top of that, even if they tried to eat all of that, there would be a big mess.
Well,
So
DNA
people need to use their
evidence.
freaking brain cells.
Well,
That's the problem. There's only about friggin' 3 brain cells between the whole friggin' lot of them. They
think
share
that-
it and they pass it on to each other.
that's the thing with this case, right? Is that you have your full-on morons, right? That are literally on a different level of thinking, because they don't understand logical thinking, right? Okay, those people exist, and not all the cases, to be honest with you, high profile ones. And then you have your people that are trying to distract from the truth, make fake accounts, all that different shit. It's kind of like what happened when when Charmaine and Daniel had the conversations, and basically this account comes out basically saying that those were fake and all that shit, right? And they try to distract from the truth. Well, at first, of course, because creators took them and didn't listen to the context of those, and they just ran with things. But the logical ones realized that those were truthful texts, and they were, and it came to fruition. But again, there's accounts that try to distract, and Charmaine totally believed, and maybe I'm not sure if she still believes to this day, but she believed that either someone known to Daniel was coming out there basically trying to take away and say that those were fake, even though they were true, and stuff like that. So yeah, people that are just clueless, and then you got some out there that are just purposely trying to distract. Sorry, again, people that are normal critical thinkers that have common sense can exactly see where Occam's razor is, how this case is twisted, how it's played out, what's going on, the different statements from the RCMP. Again, this isn't brainiac work here. It's common sense. And the most line to the truth is looking at Occam's razor. And it's typically a family member, somebody known to these children that have done something and have the knowledge of what happened to Jack and Lily. That's not rocket science. That's just common sense for anyone following cases, you know. So I can't say that any better. But no matter what, those people will exist out there regardless. But I don't care. Like, I'm like that person. Like, and I know you guys are like you are too, Shannon and Melissa. You know what? Like I said, I don't care. Like this side shit, when you know, like the truth and what's going on is, or at least you, will say hypothetically or allegedly or whatever you want to say, you know, basically see beyond the shit and see where the truth truly lies, because it's not hard to see to me where the truth is going to lie in this, and the things that have to be done and said, you know, by RCMP and blah, 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 you know. So it's, you know, since Durwood, Janie, whatever, you know, side noise. The proof to me is in the pudding of what we're witnessing. And whenever there's two children missing and there's lying going on, you know, and people are trying to distract from the truth or trying to make you, you know, the land of make-believe out there, you know, sorry. It's not, I don't play a game on children's lives or cases and stuff like that, or adults even. It's staying on the land of reality and what is very consistent with what happens in these cases. But we're seeing tons of bullshit out of Daniel's mouth, inconsistencies all the time, lies all the time, right? So
yeah. It is just absolutely ridiculous when you're dealing with two missing children and trying to find answers, and you have people literally pointing, telling you the sky is green. You know, I
know. But that's their world.
Yeah.
I'll live in my world. Thank you very much.
Yeah. The sky's blue in our world.
Yeah. Talk to Brad Wong, you know, his wife, Mary, again, you know, and he's been nothing but generous with whatever information he has. He'll let us know. I think someone asked him to go take some pictures of a certain area or something like that, and he did.
He goes out and searches, you know, which is more than what a lot of these people even dream about doing. All they do is spend their time like misinforming the public and misdirecting people. And you know, Boss Man and his wife were actually out there looking in areas and taking pictures and spoke up despite all of the freaking harsh replies that they've gotten from people, you know, and they have to talk about their dead animals. Like, get a friggin' life, people.
And we had a spot not that long ago that we seen, and we shared it in our group of creators, and we talked about it. And Brad graciously went out there and videoed what we were seeing and what we were looking at. And he did it at a moment's notice without any questions asked. We literally sent him a picture and coordinates, and he was gracious enough to go out there and do that for us.
Why?
And
he wants answers for Jack and Lily too.
Yes,
they want
answers. He does that because Jack and Lily are what matters to him. He has kids of his own. This is not something that is on the other side of the country. It's down the road, and he wants answers.
Yeah. And honestly, it sucks to be him and Mary and his family living amongst all those Mackenzies and freaking Martells and, you know, around there and stuff like that, you know. But again, usually,
I can't imagine.
You know, yeah. But I know that, you know, I mean, in time, especially, and more so, you know, in the last few months, you know, it's kind of like to him, it's like, we just want answers for Jack and Lily and what happened to those children and the truth to come out and stuff like that. So again, I commend Brad and Mary, and for everything you're doing. People that try to shit on you, fuck them, to be honest with you, because it's just about wanting truth for Jack and Lily. So, with your information and other information, from people and stuff like that, it helps give us the insight. We're just trying to understand,
And for those that are shitting on Brad and supporting Daniel, I'll have you know, Brad has searched more than Daniel has. So,
yeah, right. Probably. that's the sad truth. Like I said, Taylor said that not once did Daniel say, well, since we're out in the woods. And remember, even Daniel admitted, I think was it on DT show when he actually admitted that he wasn't actually really searching that hard or something like that. I remember
on
that.
the DT show he hadn't even searched the area where the boot print was found.
Yeah, that too. But then by the same token, he comes out acting like he's just traipsing through that stream or whatever, the little whatever it was.
Impaled, Sonny. He could have been impaled and no one would even know.
Daniel's, as far as I've counted,
there's
about 3 deaths that Daniel's almost endured. Let alone everyone making up all the lies about him. But three deaths, near death experiences. Well, actually, there's been more, because how many car crashes has he been in now? I still feel like it's about, what? The good Lord is looking down and going, you know what, you fucking liar. Let me just kick you in the ass. Oops, let me give you a bit of karma, type of thing, until you tell the truth, in my opinion. That's how I see it. Just karma, just keep kind of like, what you put out to the universe, when it comes back at you, don't be shocked. If you put good out and you get good things happen to you and stuff like that. But in Daniel's case, man, I mean, car accident after car accident, poor me victim syndrome going on, all this stuff. And, Malehya had nothing to do with it. But yet I'm blaming Malehya and Cyndi and everybody else. And, it's just, it's sad that a case has gone this way. But there was not stopping it. This stuff always happens, it's just, all I see is answers for Jack and Lily. So that's it. That's the information I want. The truth to come out, answers, and arrests if arrests need to be made. That's what I want. Not that this is going to have a good ending. This is not going to have a good ending to this case. It's not sad. Like, that's sad. That's so sad to think about. Is there, like, are there still people, just to ask you, like, do you still have people in your guys's, like, chats or whatever that believe that these children are hidden and alive still too much? Or
not in mine, no.
Not in mine, no.
Yeah. It's
they don't dare try to say anything about Darren, because I've anyone that floats that theory, I will admit I'm biased. I will not have it. I won't have it in my chat. I won't have people sticking up for really any of them.
Well, it's very absurd, but whatever. It takes all kinds to make this world go around, doesn't it?
Yeah,
but
I really struggle.
Tell us how you feel, Brad. Tell us how you really feel.
Can you send the security over to my place, boss man? I'll let you drive.
Yeah. CBC or CBC National. I think CBC, though. Yeah. I think it's with. Is it with Alan? Brain's too tired now. Okay. Gonna bring this to a close. Brad, Mary, thank you guys for popping in tonight. Daff, Nova, and all you guys out there. Thank you guys all for your It's a Crime and Shame gifted memberships to people. Did I say? I feel like I said the word shit there when I lost my tongue. I don't know. Gifted memberships to everyone. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. I like to think of that as always paying it forward. giving back to somebody else and stuff like that. It just helps that you guys can use the emoticons and you don't have to deal with slow mode speed and stuff like that. So appreciate that for everybody out there. Jack and Lily is why we're here, and answers. And March 2nd, like I said, looking forward to it. Looking forward to that date and see what comes out of that, like summary, indictable, all that stuff. We'll see. Yeah.
Yes, thanks for having me on, Sunny, and
Well, thank you.
thanks for everyone's support. And I
Just
will
in live, yeah.
Yeah, I'll likely be on tomorrow with some more shenanigans. So,
For more shenanigans.
yeah.
Yeah. I was watching somebody use that word the other day in shenanigans, and instantly my brain went over to you. But it was like on a totally random video when they use that word, and absolutely.
Well, there's only one shenanigans, though.
Don't know in shenanigans. Yeah, because normally they spell it with the E.
Yes.
Anyway, thanks, Shanann. Melissa,
All
Melissa, is there anything you want to say before we pop off now?
Just hopefully people can focus on the facts and Jack and Lily can come home.
Yeah, again, prayers for Jack and Lily. Prayers to the family members that are dealing with this and all that stuff. Yeah, we cover it. Yeah, we care. Yeah, that Jack and Lily are just like our kids and stuff like that, or whatever, however you want to deem them. But truly heartbreaking. Hi, Chelsea Gray. Truly heartbreaking for the family members that have to deal with this every day of just wanting answers. Just answers. Are they alive? Are they dead? Well, I believe that they're dead, like a lot of people. Unfortunately, there's not going to be no happy ending here, but still the truth needs to come out for Jack and Lily, and we'll see how everything plays out. And yeah, I'll see you when I see you. Thanks, guys.
Love to you all.
Love to you too.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody. All right.
And I did share the document in Shan's chat, my chat, and your chat. So anybody who wants some factual information on Jack and Lily, go check it out.
Yep. Let's see here. Jack and Lily. Just gonna play the one, Jack and Lily video on the way out. I think it's this. Is it this one? I think it's this one. Yeah, I think so. Thanks, everybody.
In the woods where shadows lay, Jack and Lily went to play. On a rainy May afternoon, now we whisper hope soft too. Echoes of laughter fill the air, but where are they? We stand in prayer. Oh, Jack and Lily, where have you gone? We'll hold on tight through this endless dawn. In our hearts forever you'll stay. With every prayer we send your way. Hundreds gathered, hearts so strong, searching deep where they belong. Through the trees and storms they roam, wishing every child came home. Fatigued but fierce they won't give in. For every soul we search within. every prayer we send away. We'll keep the hope alive today. In the silence, love will lead the way.
Please help bring us home.
Mm. Normally, I end the live stream already before I did it, but I absolutely agree. I feel my eyes welling up with water. When you listen to a beautiful song by Russell McDonald, and then on top of that, you know, to put a video together so that it's impactful on people's hearts, right? That's the whole point of it. I can't stress enough how much this case means to me. It just breaks my heart. So I just truly wish that this is just the beginning to answers for Jack and Lily, and that they will get the justice that they deserve. But truly, they deserve to be here. So I'm so sorry for the hurt and the pain to the family members that just want the answers and have no answers yet. You know, even if they feel like they know the answers, still, where's Jack and Lily? And anyways, I want to thank you guys for all caring so much about this case. Being part of the process for it, sadly. But just thank you for your beautiful hearts and caring so much about Jack and Lily as this channel does, and other content creators, but this channel in particular. So thank you guys very much for being here tonight. And again, I'll see you when I see you, probably next week. Yeah, but thank you guys. All right. Bye, guys. Gonna end the stream now.